stuck in a timeshare you don't want? Lone Star Transfer can help. With an A-plus rating at the Better Business Bureau, thousands of five-star reviews, they are the only ones I trust. They will provide you with a guaranteed solution to exit your timeshare. Please call Lone Star Transfer, 844-284-4861, or visit LoneStarTransfer.com. On this Wednesday, it was a bit shocking to hear Kamala Harris urging Americans to oppose the military action against Iran. As vice president, she watched as the Biden administration appeased the mullahs and helped finance Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis by unfreezing Iranian money to the tune of $16 billion. The Biden policy fell dismally and led to October 7, 2023, when Hamas attacked Israel, and that disrupted the entire Middle East. The subsequent war against Hamas by Israel resulted in massive death in Gaza. So you might think Kamala Harris would be a bit more circumspect when it comes to Iran. But like the Biden open border debacle, Kamala sees no evil. Former Secretary of State John Kerry also failed to stop Iran's nuclear quest. He carried out President Obama's appeasement policy. At least Kerry's not undermining the U.S. military campaign now, as Harris is. You don't have to be a warmonger to understand that the fanatical leadership in Iran was never going to cease its terror activities. Therefore, a choice had to be made. Let them continue to kill innocent people or stop them. That's the choice, Kamala. Back in a moment. More Americans are switching to all-family pharmacy because getting medication should not depend on your insurance company telling you no. If you already know what works for you and want real medical freedom, you have to choose the right pharmacy. All Family Pharmacy handles everything, including the doctor's prescription, ships right to your door. So please go to allfamilypharmacy.com/bill, use code BILL10, save 10% on your next order. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your First Alert forecast. We've issued a First Alert weather day as we head off towards from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Could see the possibility for some large hail, some strong winds, and even an isolated tornado risk as the day goes on. Scattered showers and storms will clear as we head off into early Thursday morning. Then into Friday night, could be seeing the potential for more chances of showers and storms through the region. Temperatures by Friday up to 80 degrees. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
Coffee? Check. Partisan hack talking points? Nope, not here. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on NewsTalkSTL.
Day 5 of Operation Epic Fury now underway in Iran. Where do we go from here? Well, we've got updates for you here, not only in just a couple of minutes here, but also, of course, right around 5:58. We've got the national news and then our news dump. We'll bring you up to date on what's happening in the Middle East. And on Tuesday's program, Colonel William Dunn, Burner Dunn, he's the author of Gunfighter's Rule. He's been there. He's done that. He has commanded military forces in the Middle East. He was in the Iraq War. That's a lot of what his book is about. And he gave us a really unique first-person perspective on what's happening in the Middle East, especially for the men and the women who are sent there to fight it. And here's that discussion from Burner Dunn.
Okay, we've talked about the politics of it, the questions. Democrats and a few Republicans are talking about the legality of it, and we're talking about the impact of Operation Epic Fury. But what does a war in the Middle East look like from the perspective of the men and the women sent there to fight it? Because so often, you look everything from the news coverage to the history books, it all gets talked about in the ether and the grand
political
scale.
Sphere, really.
Right. It's talked about that. And not from the perspective of those who were sent there to do it, who are following the orders of their commanders and the commander-in-chief to accomplish a mission. You know who's been there and done that? That would be Colonel William William Dunn, Burner Dunn.
All right.
Got the Colonel back on with us. Good to have you back on, Colonel. Thanks for being back on the program here. So when you got the news and you saw what happened, like the rest of us, and the attack is launched and where it is, you're gonna have a different reaction having been in the situation in that region of the world than obviously the rest of us who just look at it from the outside looking in. What was it that spoke to you, and what was your first reaction to seeing the news of how this Operation Epic Fury was being executed?
Well, first of all, I was not surprised. I had worked on different planning levels over my time in the Marine Corps. I actually deployed a unit into the Middle East in 2012 to support what I would consider a similar action that never took place. So the planning has been going on for decades. This is not new. You've seen some of the rhetoric, 47 some years of this Iranian dictatorship swearing death to America, death to Israel. So the plan is what I consider a normal military operation, where you're going to start with their air defenses, then their aircraft, and in this case, their sea warfare capability. I believe we pretty much eliminated their Navy. And then what's going to continue going on is we'll take out their war supporting infrastructure. It's a normal plan. And when you have overwhelming force like we do here in this arena, then it's happening pretty quickly. So it was not a surprise. The kickoff was not a surprise. I told the folks that we work with that this weekend I was 99% sure we were going to roll in an attack. It had to happen, in my opinion. I think Iran may have been closer in different ways of getting a nuclear weapon. I think our intel is pretty solid. And the mission Epic Fury is going to probably achieve its goals, hopefully sooner than we expected. And the bad part of that is it's a dangerous game, and we've lost at least right now 6 Americans, and it's a shame, but it's probably a requirement that we have to take this out now.
Good morning, Colonel Dunn. This is Susie Moore. How important is it from a morality or morale standpoint and just overall attitude for the troops that are there to get the message that they've been getting from, for instance, the Secretary of War during the press conference yesterday, and from Admiral Cooper, the letter that he sent out to the service members that are going to be involved in this operation? That messaging seems very direct and very, to my civilian view, powerful. But how does that land with the troops?
It's extremely important. And I've been in combat in Iraq several times. It's very important to know that the President of the United States and, back then the DOD, but the Department of War has your back and is going to support you and give you everything you need to conduct your missions. That's the most important thing. What you don't want to do is go into combat and feeling like the only people that are supporting you is your brother or your sister that's to your right or your left. So when you're getting this from the administration, and it's very obvious they're pouring in every asset that the commander needs to fight this fight, that's a great feeling if you are the guy on the ground sitting there, or if you're flying an airplane. So I think it's amazing. What I would love to see is that same support come from both sides of the aisle, both Republicans and Democrats. You may not like the President of the United States, but don't try to deter the assets that are being pushed forward to fight this fight. And I think our American warriors would love to hear that the Democrats are supporting them as well. I personally would.
Good morning, Colonel William Dunn. Thank you again for joining us this morning. There's been quite a bit of pushback from the young right, the millennial Gen Z youth that are on the right regarding some of these operations as well. The last poll that I saw, I think, said between all American groups, about 27% of people actually support the Iranian strike, while a significant amount are also indifferent to it. So do you have a message to the youth that are maybe outraged or mad or feel betrayed by the campaign promise of no new wars?
I do. They don't understand the intel. They're not being briefed on the intel. They don't understand the impact it would have if a nuclear weapon was developed by Iran and then either used in the United States or used in Israel or used anywhere. They don't understand that. And I think what happens is you get a level of our society that does not realize that the threat is actually there. When Iran chants death to America, they mean it. When they chant death to Israel, they mean it. And unfortunately, some of our citizens don't realize that these threats are real. The other thing they don't realize is the Venezuelan operation, the Iranian operation, will have lasting effects on our peer competitor, which is China, because China was getting tremendous assets in oil and other things in and out of both those countries. That reduction of that capability will have a negative impact on China, which is probably our greatest threat right now, greatest peer competitor. So they're not thinking the big picture. What they're seeing the media go, no new wars, and oh my God, we're dropping bombs. If you say no new wars and then the enemy changes, you still are obliged to protect our nation, period.
We're visiting with Colonel William Dunn, author of the book Gunfighters Rule, which we'll tell you how to get that here in just a couple of minutes. Okay, so what's next when it comes to the security of the country? For instance, now, you've mentioned, the overwhelming dominance that we have on the battlefield there, in the air, in the water, possibly on the ground, depending on how that goes. But in this day and age, the threat and the retaliation isn't just limited to geography right there. What do we need to worry about, not just for our men and women in uniform there, but also here in the mainland?
Well, first of all, we need to not repeat our Iraq mistake. I was on the ground in Iraq when we were given the order to fire the interim government of Iraq and to do what was known as de-Baathification. We all knew it was a bad idea. We were ordered to do it. At the time, I was in Karbala, and I talk a lot about this in the book. I was in Karbala working with an interim government. I had to go in that morning with our battalion commander and tell the interim government they were fired. Then a 20-year insurgency started. We fired the military. We fired anyone that could run the country. I am positive this administration has learned from that. Some of the people that are now in charge of this war were young officers and young enlisted folks that now know how to prosecute this next stability op. So hopefully we won't do that. But the next phase, and I know there's phases of war, and I'm not talking about the phases of war, but the next phase is going to have to be an interim government, an interim solution that maintains security inside Iran for two purposes mainly. And, there's many reasons, but the biggest purpose is to protect the civilians. We do not want to have a humanitarian disaster in Iran after we take out a regime to help the Iranian people. We don't want them to then die because of humanitarian disaster. And then the second thing, and just as important, Iran does have a tremendous amount of weapons. They're stored everywhere. They're stored in mountains, underground bunkers. We, as the world, need to make sure that those weapons do not get into terrorist hands. That was a huge failure during Iraq. We watched one day, I personally saw trucks this was after major combat operations ended, trucks going into bunkers, pulling out tons and tons of ammunition, and we were not allowed to engage those vehicles. We had to let them go. And so, they're taking weapons there, you are not allowed to engage. And then, of course, the next 20 years, they probably use many of those weapons against us in Iraq.
Wow. Colonel, do you have a sense, I know there are messages being sent out to members of the IRGC, encouraging them to basically abandon their post and give themselves up and then being promised immunity for doing so. Do you have a sense as to whether that's going to be, how much success that will be met with? Are there going to be factions that will do that? Because I think that's critical to getting this change implemented as far as the regime.
That's a tough one. It's interesting. If I look at my own perspective as a warfighter, I would never want any of my Marines to, lay down their arms in front of the enemy. In this scenario, if those troopers in the IRGC or anywhere in Iran also felt that the regime was brutal and terrible, we may be able to get there. The problem would be is if they pretend to lay down their arms, and then when things calm down, they pick them back up and they start killing Iranian citizens or whatever interim government that comes in. I think it was a brilliant play. Give them an out. You never want to back your enemy to a wall where there's no way out but to kill him. If you do that, if you don't have the weapons to drop a bomb on them per se, and you have to send in troops to kill someone, that's very dangerous. And, we've seen that in Fallujah in many stories throughout our history of a city or something that you have to go in and clear. It's very, very dangerous. And we don't want to have to do that at all in Iran. So if you give them a way out, I think it's possible that reduces the pressure and can ultimately save lives. But it's risky business because you don't know. The enemy has a say in all of this, and we don't. There's been no negotiation. They said they want to since the Ayatollah was taken out, but I haven't seen anything open source that shows me that there's any actual negotiations. They're attacking civilian centers. They're attacking civilian capabilities throughout the region. So Iran is showing itself to be a true pariah, and I think that actually played into our hands a little bit.
All right. The book is Gunfighters Rule. We find it where, Colonel?
You can get anywhere you get books. Easiest place is Amazon.com. You Google it up, Gunfighters Rule, and it'll pop right up.
Okay, Wednesday, you know what that means? That means we need to start getting your Flashback Friday 80s bump music requests in. Be sure to send those in to Jerome or just put them on the social media comments as well. And by the way, if you got anything out of that discussion with William Dunn, with Bernard Dunn, go to the News Talk STL podcast page or Mike Ferguson in the Morning podcast, and you can download it right there. You can send that to your friends and family, especially if they've served in uniform. They might appreciate that, so be sure to send that to them. All right, this is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Conservative talk for St. Louis.
It's your patriotic right and duty.
The government needs to step up and do its job.
This is News Talk STL.
It's well-balanced conversation.
News, analysis, opinion.
Tim Jones here to introduce you to your new favorite roofing company, Corel Roofing. There were 4 major storms last year. Did your roof take a hit? Do you even know? Most homeowner insurance policies require claims to be filed within 1 year, so time's running out for a closer look. At Corel Roofing Company, you get a local roofing specialist who will advocate for you every step of the way. Give yourself peace of mind. Schedule your roof inspection today with Corel Roofing at CorelRoofingCo.com. That's CorelRoofingCo.com.
Looking for your perfect country escape? Or maybe it's time to sell your horse property or farm? Meet Gina Parmentier with Realty Net Service Realtors. As a second-generation broker with 29 years of experience, Gina specializes in horse properties, farms, and rural real estate throughout Franklin County and the surrounding St. Louis area. Whether buying or selling, Gina knows the land, and she knows how to get results. Call 314-504-5409. That's 314-504-5409. Realty Net Service Realtors, where country living meets expert service.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
If you turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to, so make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agents can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan that may work for your needs. Finding a Medicare Advantage plan can be easy if you do what I did. Make a quick call right now to learn more. Thank you.
800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. That's 800-439-7851.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Somebody check on Jasmine.
Oh, she not
Yeah,
doing well?
I don't think Jasmine's doing well. Normally I don't do a whole lot with other states' primaries. I mean, it's all Illinois, Missouri here obviously, but everybody's talking about these Texas primaries. Man, this is big for the landscape, not just for the makeup of the House and particularly the U.S. Senate, but I think a lot of people on the right, whatever part of the right you're on, I think they're looking at this as kind of a directional indicator. But on the Democratic side, it's kind of, in a way, the same thing. I mean, so you've got Jasmine Crockett, the pride of St. Louis Prep School. She's up against some state representative nobody's ever heard of until 5 minutes ago. And she loses. And she basically says, well, the Republicans cheated.
Oh.
In the Democratic primary. And she ain't doing well. It's one of those, you get the young influencer types, and that's really what she is, and believe me, the Republicans have their influencer types too. But she's the young influencer type, believed her own hype and thought she was bigger than she actually is.
Oh, no.
So somebody go check on Jasmine. She ain't doing well.
And she lacks any sort of self-awareness of how she's actually viewed, because every single Republican that I know was like, how easy would it be for the Republicans to win? We hope that she gets her spot.
I don't remember yesterday if I said it on the air or in one of our information segments, but I'm like literally prayer hands go, please let her win. Please, please let her win.
Yes.
That is content for days. We got a slow day. I don't know what to put in at 7:20. Oh, what'd Jasmine Crockett do?
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, please. That's why Republicans across the country really hope Cori Bush beats Wesley Bell in this primary.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't think she's going to, but that Republicans really want Cori Bush in there because it's a Democratic seat anyway. No Republican's going to win the race. I haven't seen any indication that there's any credible Republican who's entered that race for Congress. But when Cori Bush would get up and say, Republicans are scared of me, and we're like, oh, we desperately want you to stay there. Wesley Bell is better for the community. He is better for St. Louis. He's a far left guy. I don't know him well, but I've known Wesley for a long time. Definitely not somebody I would ever vote for. I'd go have coffee with him, but Republicans across, Cori Bush was one of the best fundraisers that the Republicans could have asked for. Jasmine Crockett would have been the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So she ain't doing well.
Oh, my condolences. Not really, but
yeah.
Well, and that's the interesting thing about when we talk about the rift kind of growing on the right and the way that the Republicans are going to have to adjust coming up. I never considered that the Democrats might actually be coming back from some of the far left radical lunacy, and they're no longer falling for these I am woman, hear me roar, or I'm diverse, hear me roar kind of arguments, that they might actually want people of substance.
Well, yeah, maybe, or at least somebody who can relate to normal human beings. And the thing is that Jasmine Crockett, and we're mentioning, and I know that this is going to sound awful, but it actually matters in politics in this day and age. When you get, the photos of her that are flattering, and she's a very attractive young woman, and she plays dumb on camera, but she might be dumb. I mean, she certainly plays it up to try to, connect with the street or whatever. But, she graduated from one of the top prep schools in St. Louis, one of the most prestigious prep schools in St. Louis. She has she has privileges in education that basically almost nobody else would have. So.
And I would not have guessed that listening to how she talks.
But if you see the real her, she speaks like anybody else. She plays this thing up for the camera and for the politics. But anyway, so around here, in March, the only thing that's going on would be the Illinois primaries, which actually are underway right now.
Oh.
The early voting is started about, almost a month ago. And so primary day is actually March 17th. And so when the votes are all said and done, the only kind of interesting race there is a Republican nomination for governor between Ted Dabrowski and Darren Bailey. There's a couple other candidates in there, but I don't know that they're really factors. The Republicans have a very slim chance of winning that race for governor, even though Bill Clinton said J.B. Pritzker was in the Epstein circles.
Yes.
And I don't know that that's going to make a difference for Illinois voters.
Probably not.
Yeah. But we'll go over the Texas results here in just a little bit. I'm curious what people think about that, because I think a lot of Republicans are looking at that as is this part of a directional vote? I don't know. You tell me.
Think you're just getting older? Stiff in the morning, low energy, aches that weren't there 5 years ago? Maybe. Or maybe it's your mattress. At Snooze Mattress and Wellness, we're locally owned and family owned, and we use advanced sleep technology to measure your pressure points and match you to the right mattress for your body. No fake sales, no guessing, no pressure. Just honest guidance and better sleep. Snooze Mattress and Wellness in Chesterfield. Sleep restored, life renewed.
Hey, Tony Colombo here, inviting you out for a great night of fun and rock and roll with the Queen Tribute Somebody to Love, Friday, March 20th at the Mill in Granite City. My band, Tony Colombo and the North County Sound Machine, featuring Katie Fitzpatrick, opens the show, followed by the ultimate Queen experience from Somebody to Love. That's Friday, March 20th at the Mill, Granite City's premier concert and event venue, brought to you by Weber Chevrolet. Support local music and join us for a great party. Tickets and info now at themill.events.
Hey, Tony Colombo here with Tim Jones for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway, the #1 home selling team in the St. Louis area, and I can say that from firsthand experience. My wife and I were blown away from the results that we saw from working with Rodney and Jen, from selling our old home faster and for more money than we thought possible to finding our family's perfect new home. They over-delivered every step of the way, and right now it's still very much a seller's market. So, Tim, for folks that have been thinking about selling their home, it's a perfect time to call the Wallners.
That's right, Tony. And don't forget, they're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois, so no matter where you are in the metro area, you can put St. Louis's #1 home selling team to work for you. The Wallners' experience and work ethic, second to none. And of course, the numbers speak for themselves. The Wallners sell 15 times more homes per year than the typical realtor. Right now, they're working with so many qualified buyers, they'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner home selling team.
Lower your car payment today. Lower your car payment today. Yes, you heard us right. You can lower your car payment right now by making this free call and save up to $1,400 a year on your current car payments. Think about your current car payment right now. What's that costing you per year? Now think about what it would be like to put an extra $1,400 back in your pocket. That's the average savings our customers experience. We can help you drive the same car and pay less every month by lowering your car payment's interest rate to as low as 4.67%. At Rate Genius, we can work with you to refinance any car payment. If you qualify, it costs you nothing to find out how you can lower your car payment. To learn more, call this number right now.
800-493-5670. 800-493-5670. 800-493-5670. That's 800-493-5670.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. In Iran, Supreme Council delegates were voting on a successor to the Ayatollah when an Israeli rocket slammed into their meeting place. Up went a huge plume of billowing black smoke. Not much left of the building. No word on the fate of the dozens of delegates who had been gathered there. And President Trump says it's clear the U.S. military does have the upper hand in the current showdown with Iran.
The president said the ongoing combat operations have been very successful in eliminating Iran's forces and systems.
They have no Navy. It's been knocked out. They have no Air Force. It's been knocked out. They have no air detection. That's been knocked out. Their radar has been knocked out.
He also disputed claims that Israel forced the U.S. to take action. The president said, if anything, he might have forced Israel's hand because he believed Iran was going to attack. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The conflict is sending oil prices higher. That's already being felt at the gas pump. Andelsky filling up in Jackson, Mississippi.
I think a lot of times people can think, oh, it's not going to affect me. It's halfway, it's all the way, around the world. But I mean, there's a definite trickle-down effect, a domino effect. It's going to affect everything in our lives for, we don't know how long.
AAA's national average irregular, $3.20 a gallon, up 9 cents from yesterday. Primary voters have spoken. The AP declares James Tallarico winner of the closely watched Democratic Senate primary in Texas, defeating Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. For the Republicans, a May runoff between incumbent Senator John Cornyn and State Attorney General Ken Paxton. Texas, along with North Carolina and Arkansas, kicked off the midterm election season with control of Congress at stake. Watching Wall Street, stock futures bit higher this morning. Right now, the Dow futures up 28 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 49. The S&P futures better by 9 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I had a lot of credit card debt, and it stressed me out. But what I thought was a solution turned out to be a problem. I kept hearing ads about debt settlement that seemed too good to be true. And actually, it was. When I called, they told me to stop paying my bills. That didn't sound right to me at all, so I hung up. Later, I found out that debt settlement is bad, real bad. Then I learned that there is a right way to pay off your credit cards. It's called a debt management program from the great team at Trinity. Trinity had a plan. In the end, I paid off my bills, I saved thousands, and I even improved my credit score.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-990-6976.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your First Alert forecast. We've issued a First Alert weather day as we head off towards from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Could see the possibility for some large hail, some strong winds, and even an isolated tornado risk as the day goes on. Scattered showers and storms will clear as we head off into early Thursday morning. Then into Friday night, could be seeing the potential for more chances of showers and storms through the region. Temperatures by Friday up to 80 degrees. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
With all of the celebrations, anniversaries, and holidays coming up over the next few months, where are you going to go to get that special something for the special people in your life? Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, of course. Newsteaders Fine Jewelers found 24/7 at wowdiamonds.com. Tim Jones here to tell you all about Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Richard Newsteader and his team serving our region since 1961 with awesome, honest jewelry solutions. They've got everything from diamonds to wedding engagement rings, hand-engraved items, pendants, earrings, and so much more. You can find them 24/7, wowdiamonds.com. That's Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, wowdiamonds.com.
Does your market have fresh-cut steaks, 8 varieties of broths and smoked meats, a large selection of Italian-influenced products, baked pies, breads, and desserts? Well, Valenti's Market in St. Peter's does, serving the community since 1937. Valenti's Market offers catering services from box lunches to large corporate events and weddings. Stop by the deli counter for deli meats, sandwiches, and salads. Visit valentismarket.com to order online. Valenti's Market, another awesome, locally owned business supported by CUNA Food Service.
On the next, Larry Connors, USA.
Tonight, the story behind the story, reporting from the first Gulf War, and something that truly amazed me.
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Big guy, one of the biggest in the world.
Susie Moore.
Do you think he's ready?
He's not ready.
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
I have a feeling that by the end of this evening, I'm going to be playing for everything.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, so we're all watching the news of the war, but let me ask you this. This is going to sound like a weird question until you think about it for a minute, then I think it'll make sense. So we're watching all the news of the war, but do we feel like the war is affecting us here at home? I mean, do we really have an investment in this, or are we looking at this as news stories on a flat screen in front of us? That's one of the things I think tends to get lost in the 24/7 looking at your screen, where we look at humanity, but we disconnect from humanity.
Yeah, I mean, I think unless and until something impacts you directly, it's hard to necessarily relate to it. The Austin shooting situation arguably could be one of those situations because it does seem to be related.
Yeah.
But, Joan at the grocery store right now is not necessarily feeling the direct impact, although the gas prices have gone up a little bit.
Right.
I was going to say that it's funny you mentioned that because I had that exact moment of realization when I was pumping up yesterday, and gas was $2.99 for the first time in quite a while.
Right. Yeah. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later on today, too. All right. The drama continues even after the primary election night in Texas. Results impacting the whole country, but basically it's going to a round 2 in a few things. So we'll get you the update on that. Then I want to dig into that a little bit later after the news dump here. Redbirds are back on the field today. Blues are back on the ice tonight. Got those updates. It is 6:06. Let's go ahead and get started with the news dump.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news.
The morning news dump.
All right, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, they were all briefing Congress this week about, obviously, the war in Iran. Democrats calling the strikes illegal, and they are concerned that the conflict could become another forever war. But to be fair, there are some Republicans who are worried about that as well. Senator Eric Schmitz was on Fox's The Ingram Angle, saying the Trump administration, he thinks, is being upfront about the objectives.
So they're taking out those ballistic missiles that would protect that program. But President Trump has been, clear that and has learned, I think, the lessons from history here that we're not interested in a forever war in the Middle East.
6 Americans so far have been killed. We've got reports of 18 others who are wounded in the war. All right, President Trump lashing out at Spain. Yeah, Spain at this point here because he says they are not supporting the U.S. military strikes the way that we should have, or that they should have, is what his complaint is on this. So here's part of what he's talking about there. This is from our friends at Town Hall.
During an Oval Office meeting with Germany's chancellor, the president complained about Spain's lack of support for the war against Iran, at one point saying that U.S. military jets could just fly in and use Spain's air bases without permission.
We're going to cut off all trade with Spain. We don't want anything to do with Spain.
It's unclear how that could happen, given that Spain is under the umbrella of the European Union, which negotiates trade deals on behalf of all 27 member countries. Greg Clugston, Washington.
And so we get a little bit of thin-skinned crazy Trump on that one.
I don't think it's thin-skinned or crazy.
Oh, I think it's totally thin-skinned and crazy Trump.
We're in the middle of a war.
Yeah, but
they're a NATO ally. They aren't contributing to NATO. No, I don't think that's thin-skinned.
Oh, I think it is. We're going to cut off trade. We're going to cut off our businesses from selling stuff to them because I'm mad at them for that. No,
disagree.
Yeah,
disagree. Even the German chancellor was like, they're not paying their share. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
But to say we're going to cut off American businesses from there, we're going to cut off trade. No,
I disagree.
Yeah, that's fine, but that's the thing with Trump. You get all the stuff that he will end up doing right, and then you get the butt hurt over something on that. Say we're going to cut them all off. It's like, dude, you weren't elected to run the world, dude. Seriously.
This isn't about running the world. It's about prosecuting our war.
Yeah, I know, but it's like if Spain didn't, it's just they don't take orders from us. I mean, that's
but
just
they're
the
an
thing.
ally, and we're asking for their help.
Yeah, no, I get that. Should they say use our air bases or whatever? Sure, but like we're going to cut off all trade.
I think there's plenty of times when you can use the butthurt description of Trump. I don't think this counts as one of them.
I think this is one. I think this is stomping the feet, great like toddler type. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how much our NATO allies knew about the strikes or what was going to be planned beforehand. Because if we're in a bar together and somebody that's in my crew suddenly starts a fight, I'm not obligated to jump in and help them. I mean, That's just kind of how I view this. Once you start having a whole dogpiling of a bunch of different nations that may or may not have anything to do with the planning of the strike, then that's how stuff like World War I broke out.
Yeah, but we're not asking them to get into the fight. We're asking them to let us use the assets that we have so that we have access.
But if would that make sense though? If that could result in Iran potentially retaliating against them for right now, it doesn't seem. If you're not like a target,
Iran's
of Iran,
retaliating against the UAE.
They're throwing missiles everywhere.
That horse is out of the barn.
Yeah, they're throwing missiles out everywhere.
So I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be like all animated about it, but I don't. This is one of those things where I don't think this falls into that category. And there was a twofold discussion that they were having, and Mertz was on the same page as Trump. So
we don't have to agree on everything. That's
well, that's
real
good.
life.
That is seriously good.
Just saying. All right. St. Louis prosecutors charge a man with trying to sexually abuse children at a Kirkwood Walmart.
Yeah,
this is gross. They think he might have also done the same thing at a nearby Target. 33-year-old Esmond Pasick faces 2 counts and is being held on a $250,000 cash-only bond. Police say he's on camera approaching children while, I'll just say, touching himself, asking at least one child to touch him. And at least one alleged victim in this case is 7 years old that they have identified. Now, normally I don't do these gross crime things, but here's why I'm putting it into the news dump here. Police think 3 other children, or they see on camera what they believe 3 other children approached by him. They're asking the families to contact police. So if you heard somebody say, you're not going to believe what this creepy guy did in Walmart, you need to let them know to contact police, because the prosecutors, they are ready to put this guy in jail for a long time, but they need the victims' families to step forward.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there are people out there that know about this. In other words, there definitely are people out there with information, and that could go a long way towards making sure that he is incarcerated.
Right. Because, I mean, they I'm sure got their kid, got out of there, and like, oh my God, can you believe that happened, and sort of thing. But police and prosecutors are saying, please contact us. We've arrested the guy. We need the rest of the evidence to put this guy away for as long as possible.
I'm just surprised that he remained conscious long enough to go from one location to another, because if I'm somewhere that somebody's behaving like this, they're on the ground, no questions asked.
I read the criminal complaint against him. I'm not going to go into details on it. Let's just put it that way.
I don't think there's any need to, but yeah, we did see Melissa Price talking about it on the news yesterday.
Right.
So.
All right, I'm going to go into more depth on this in just a little bit here, but here's some of the basics. Some of the Texas primary elections are moving into round 2. In the Republican race for U.S. Senate, Senator John Cornyn being pushed to a runoff against Attorney General Ken Paxton. Now, the winner of that race is going to face State Representative James Tallarico, who beat Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. Somebody should check on Jess. She's not doing well. She's not doing well at all. No. Congressman Dan Crenshaw lost his primary. Didn't just lose it. He lost it by double digits. That one wasn't even close.
Yeah, so he lost.
Yeah.
Wesley Hunt obviously lost the bid for the Senate primaries. He's not going to be part of the runoff.
Right.
Do we have a concern about whether they're going to even bother coming back for the rest of the term?
Oh, boy, I didn't even think about that till you just said it.
That could be a problem.
Yeah, my guess is that Crenshaw will finish things out. I don't know about Wesley Hunt. I don't know.
Well, he hasn't been showing up a lot as it is.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that would be interesting to look at.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's a good question. All right, in Texas now, a runoff happens between the top 2 candidates if one of them does not get a majority of all the votes cast. And so that's 3 months away or something like that for their primary, their runoff rather.
Yeah, is it June? Is it?
I think so.
I think it's June.
Yeah, so it's like 11 or 12 weeks from now.
So there's also going to be a runoff in the Texas AG's race, which includes Chip Roy.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think he's going to finish out his term.
Yes.
But yeah, so he's in the run.
Yeah, because he's still running.
Yeah, he was pretty trailing the top candidate by a lot, but not enough. I mean, it was enough that he's going to be in the runoff.
Yeah. Okay, the Cardinals play Nicaragua this afternoon as the baseball world gears up for the World Baseball Classic. Matthew Liberatore will be on the mound to start this one in Jupiter. First pitch is at 12:05. By the way, Team USA, I mentioned this yesterday, they were playing against the San Francisco Giants, just kind of as a warm-up. Oh, my goodness. If that game were old man baseball, we wouldn't have allowed it to continue.
Ooh.
15-1.
Ouch.
I was waiting at the place to get my haircut. They had that game on ESPN there.
Your hair looks very nice.
Well, thank you very much. And Stephanie does a very good job. So, and I'm sitting there watching that, and it's like, listen, San Francisco Giants are a very good baseball team, Major League Baseball team.
Ew.
And Team USA was like taking batting practice off of them.
Yikes.
It was like wild to watch that. Blues on the road tonight. They play the Kraken in Seattle. This one's on ESPN Plus. Puck drops at 9 o'clock.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I kicked everybody's ass.
On News Talk STL.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris.
How are you, Vic?
I don't want to put anybody else down, but that when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that, the stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good, casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need, understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for the Great Window World. Just over the last 20 years of Window World being in St. Louis, they've improved the look and thermal efficiency of more than 76,000 customers in St. Louis. Plus, Window World windows come with a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. And now Window World is now offering 36 months, same as cash financing, with approved credit. Call them today at 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, this is Carl Higbee, host of Frontline on Newsmax TV, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, I don't usually get into election results in other states, but the Texas primaries, I think, are more than just election results.
They are.
Yeah, I think this is like a directional thing. I think a lot of people are looking at it, and we always try to caution against that in other states. Like, well, what happens in Virginia doesn't mean that's what's going to happen in the rest of the country. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. And maybe that's the case in Texas as well. It just seems like the drama, people are relating to it more because there's so many political figures out of Texas that feel like we're connected with them outside of Texas.
Well, that's true. And then there's also the redistricting aspect of it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because that changes the landscape on the House side.
Right.
Which is part of why Crockett was in the Senate race.
Right. Yeah, because they were. I mean, let's call it what it is. They were gerrymandering as much as they could in response to Democratic gerrymandering.
Right. So that kind of. I mean, she could have moved to a different House seat. Right. But yeah, I mean, that all factors in. So it is kind of an outsized effect.
You think Jasmine Crockett was just trying to buy? Do you think she bought into her own hype? And this is what happens when you have influencer types get into the real world of politics and start listening to the hype and thinking that she's bigger than she actually is.
I think that's part of it. Yeah. I do think that's very much part of it. But I also, I don't know. I mean, I don't know who's advising her because I feel like she was kind of like left out. Like, I don't think she was embraced by the power brokers in the Democrat Party.
No, not at all.
She wasn't really brought into the fold. She was kind of left to freelance and do her thing. And so
they're like, we already have an AOC. Thank you very
and
much.
for what it's worth, I was listening earlier when you were talking about, yes, she's attractive.
Yeah.
She's not young. I mean, she's 44.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought she was in her 30s.
I know. Because you were talking about like young influencers. So she didn't start out in that realm. She started out as a practicing attorney.
I have never actually looked. I am actually truly stunned to hear that she's in her mid-40s.
Yeah. Yeah. And she was a practicing attorney for a number of years before she really got into politics. So she's not a baby.
Yeah. I looked at her and I'm thinking there's somebody who's about, 33, 34.
No.
Wow.
No. So, but I do think that she was, she's served a valuable purpose. She's definitely an eyeball getter.
Sure.
Generates a lot of buzz. But I don't think that she's been given great guidance in the political sphere.
Right. And again, I think she's buying into some of her own hype.
Oh, I think she's buying into a lot.
Yeah, by the fringe there. I mean, she's not doing well with the election results.
She isn't. And what is her theory about the how did the Republicans cheat it?
Here's what she said. Here's why that question's coming up.
Unfortunately, this is what Republicans like to do. And so they specifically targeted Dallas County, and I think we all know why. So I want you to enjoy yourselves, but I won't be back tonight because I have no idea of when we're going to get results, and I fully anticipate it won't be until tomorrow.
Well, that turned out to not be the case. And of course, obviously, I don't know Texas. I've been there many times, but I don't know why she would say Dallas County, why, or why the Republicans would. Listen, if the Republicans were going to interfere in that Senate primary, they wanted Jasmine Crockett. I mean, that's just.
I was going to say, how did she mean specifically targeted?
I don't know. That's the thing. I'm trying to read through. I don't know what the specific accusation is. Just I lost, therefore they must have cheated.
Yeah, I mean,
and James Tallarico got an actual majority, so there's no runoff here.
Well, not only that, she beat him in Dallas County. She beat him 59% to 39.8% in Dallas County.
Wow.
So Jasmine, you're dumb.
Yeah. I mean, I was yesterday, and again, I said, I don't remember if I said this on the air or if it was off the air, but I'm like, prayer hands, please let her win. Please let her win.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that whoever wins the Republican runoff is probably likely to beat Tallarico, but Jasmine would have been an interesting opponent. I do want to also let people know that Valentina Gomez lost the primary for Texas U.S. House District 31. She got 10% to the winner's 60%.
It's sad that she got 10%, but
6,900 votes.
Oh, that means that that had people when she was pretending to be a serious person in Missouri. Like, you should have her on your show. I'm like, no, I really shouldn't. We try to do a little smarter show than to have people like that on. So.
Yeah, I don't know what her next move is going to be, but anyway, Jasmine.
There's probably a a lieutenant governor race in Pennsylvania somewhere.
Somewhere. I would love for Jasmine to be asked to come back on The View or just any program and to show her work. Like, what is your math here? Like, how are you figuring that the Republicans cheated you out of this?
Right. Especially when they've got every incentive to want you to win that race.
Kind of like, how are you figuring that Lee Zeldin was donated to by Jeffrey Epstein? Right. Could you explain that a little further?
Yeah. Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
All right. Or like Cori Bush saying that the Republicans are afraid of me. No, Cori, you're the biggest gift Republicans can get around this country. So they didn't want her to lose that primary against Wesley Hunt a couple years ago.
Yeah. Wesley Bell.
I
was like, wait, Wesley Hunt.
Yeah, Wesley Bell. Yeah.
Sorry.
we forget the congressman.
The congressman. Yeah, I mean, there's a certain value in having a
lunatic,
far left lunatic as the opposing counsel. You don't even really have to do your ads. You just have to sit back and go,
here's what she said.
There she is.
Do you want more people like that? Donate to the Republicans. She was one of the best fundraisers they had.
You go.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, that is really interesting to me that she's trying to somehow make this a Republican thing. And, unless she's, No, I was going to say she can't even make the gerrymandering argument because someone's going to. Somewhere, somebody is going to make the argument. But I guess she can say that they redistricted, so that affected her ability to continue on in her current role. But
which, to be fair, it did.
It did.
Yeah,
but
that's
honestly, if she really had the backing, and there's nothing that could have prevented her from moving to whatever district and running there. And she might have won. I mean, I don't know. It depends on
if it's a Democratic enough area, she's got
Well,
enough
apparently
name
she
right
could have
there.
won Dallas County.
Yeah.
So, just saying.
Oh, my goodness. All right, let's talk about the Republicans here.
Okay.
So U.S. Senate race, big one here. Cornyn and Paxton now off to a runoff election here in whatever it is, 11, 12 weeks, something like that. I think there's a lot of people on the right, in whatever category of the right that you're in, or whatever you consider yourself, who are looking at this as one of those sort of directional of the party and of the right type of contests.
Yeah. There's no question that Cornyn is an establishment candidate.
Oh, sure.
And is out of favor with the MAGA wing of the Republican Party. Now, Donald Trump has stayed out of this.
Yeah.
And I think that was wise. I think this is one that really doesn't benefit him to get in the middle of. I met regularly with comments from people that are just, they can't stand John Cornyn. They want him gone. They want Ken Paxton in there. I have reservations about Ken Paxton.
He's got a few skeletons in the closet.
We're out of the closet.
Yeah, well, that's true, yeah.
I want to, he's done some things that I really agree with.
Oh, sure.
But I don't trust, I don't know. I don't know. I'm glad I'm not the one having to choose.
Right.
Let me put it that way.
Yeah, that was, because we were in that situation a few years ago with the primary here for U.S. Senate. It's like 2 of the 3 top contenders are really good people and would do a really good job, and then there was Eric Greitens. But and so it was one of those, it's like, boy, I really like Vicky. I really like Eric Schmidt. And, and so I get being in that, but we had the luxury of having, a couple of really good people to vote for. Now you've got a couple mixed bags to vote for.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm glad I'm not the one having to choose. That's all I can say about that.
Dan Crenshaw got whooped.
He sure did.
Whooped in his race again, a primary race. So the sacred ground of incumbency, not really a sacred ground anymore.
Well, he has burned some major bridges. So that's not terribly shocking. But it is, he's been there. What is this? Has he been there for
third term, I think. Remember, he was such a rising star when he first got in.
He was, and then he kind of went
His commercials
sideways.
were pretty badass. Jumping out of airplanes and military, like action movie stuff. And, he started off, everybody on
had a lot of promise.
A lot of promise. Everybody on the actual conservative side, not even like necessarily MAGA, but on the conservative side, really big on this guy. And he just sort of flamed out and fizzled out.
Well, unfortunately, we see that happen a lot. Oh, Tony Gonzalez is going to a runoff.
He's going to a runoff, too. That has been an ugly, ugly situation down there.
Yeah, and Brandon Herrera has a slight lead in that one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, how many candidates were in that race? It wasn't just
4.
There were 4. Okay, so
there was 2. Keith Barton and Francisco Canseco were the last 2, or Canseco.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very tight between Brandon Herrera and Tony Gonzalez.
I'm actually surprised by how tight it was. I understand last cycle because he was still, Brandon Herrera was still new to the scene.
Yeah.
And, it wasn't really, he didn't have any recognition behind him. But this time around, I thought Brandon would have taken that in a landslide.
He's like a big 2A guy, right?
Oh, he is absolutely a big 2A guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Tony's got issues. Tony's got a lot of issues.
Yeah, the ugly personal
so
stuff.
So that's where you're seeing the protection of incumbency really, play a role. But
and then Mark Teixeira winning his outright. And that's a pretty red district, as I understand that.
Isn't he a baseball player?
He was a very good baseball player. Very good.
I saw someone say the congressional Republicans are going to win baseball for the next decade.
I was about to say Eric Schmitz very excited about this because he gets a former All-Star to play for the Republicans in the congressional baseball game. So I saw the exact same one that you saw. And then it was funny because somebody said, "Well, Republicans are going to win the softball game," and Eric Schmidt retweets, asterisk baseball, and yes, next 10 years.
Baseball.
Yeah, because Teixeira, I mean, it wasn't just that he made it to the show. This was a really good baseball player for a long time at the highest level.
Yeah, and Troy Nels is leaving Congress, but his identical twin is coming in because he just won the primary by a substantial amount in his race.
Okay.
Now, I would like to remind everybody, while we're talking about the primaries, though, that today is also special for another reason. Would you happen to know what day that is, Mike?
That would be Bump Day!
Today is Bump Day, and I'm calling for your 80s bump music requests for Flashback Friday. So go ahead and send your favorite 80s bump music request to Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
We hear about wokeness, but let me just say, we woke up.
On NewsTalk From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shans Gotcha with your First Alert forecast. We've issued a First Alert weather day as we head off towards from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Could see the possibility for some large hail, some strong winds, and even an isolated tornado risk as the day goes on. Scattered showers and storms will clear as we head off into early Thursday morning. Then into Friday night, could be seeing the potential for more chances of showers and storms through the region. Temperatures by Friday up to 80 degrees. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scott.
Is your retirement income at risk if you or your spouse needs nursing home or in-home care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. The cost of long-term care is one of the biggest risks in retirement planning. For many retirees, a single nursing home stay can cause a significant reduction in assets that can permanently reduce your retirement income. Fortunately, there are affordable and flexible options available today that can help you manage the cost of long-term care. Our team can help you address the risks relevant to your retirement, including long-term care. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com is your one-stop shop for expert insured tree care and more in the greater St. Louis region and at the Lake of the Ozarks. Visit hansonstree.com for 24/7 emergency tree care, grinding and land clearing, awesome organic mulch, green resource recycling, and more. Tim Jones here to tell you that whether you're dealing with old man winter at your home or business in the St. Louis region or preparing your lake home for spring, call Hanson's to help you out. No job too big or too small. Mention News Talk STL. Receive 10% off all tree care services. hansonstree.com, hansonstree.com.
Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
It's about time somebody stood up for true American values.
What this country needs is some backbone.
Finally, a president who wants to make real change.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Standing in the rain with his head hung low, couldn't get a ticket, it was a sold-out show.
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. Hope you had enough time to freshen up your coffee, because now we're back with Mike Ferguson in the morning.
See, Foreigners doing another tour this year.
I did see that.
Yeah.
They were my very first concert.
That's what you were saying. I've
November
actually never seen
1981.
them, but you saw them with Lou Graham then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was Foreigner 4. That was the album that was out.
Huge album. That was a great album.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And where was that?
At the Checker Dome.
Nice. Very nice. So, yeah, I don't know if they're coming to St. Louis or not. I didn't look that deeply, but that would be a fantastic show. Because there were rumors that Lou Graham was going to come back for, like, just this tour, and because the other singer was like, yeah, maybe I'm going to retire, because he's been with Foreigner longer than Lou Graham was.
Yeah. I can't believe they're still coming around.
I know. I think it's literally it's like a 45th or 50th anniversary tour.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's got to be 45 because I saw them in 81.
Okay.
But I mean, I guess they've been around longer
They
than
were
that.
down, yeah.
So
It might be close to. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, all right, MAGA discrimination.
Uh-oh.
Is that something that's going on here? Maybe.
Zoinks.
I saw this story. I actually saw it on USA Today, and then I went digging into it a little bit here. So there's a business in Michigan that's kind of under fire because what happened here is that a guy and his wife goes into a Smoothie King, to, get their smoothies.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently he was wearing either a Trump shirt or a MAGA sweatshirt or something like that. And they're like, we don't want to serve you. We're not comfortable in this situation. Here's the story from local TV station. This is Fox 2 and reporter Dave Kinchin explaining what happened in Detroit.
Jake is wearing a hoodie with President Trump's name on it. The workers said they did not feel comfortable in this encounter, and the couple says they were clearly discriminated against, so much so a GoFundMe page was set up, created to help them fight their legal case that they believe they had. Smoothie King's corporate office posted a statement on its social media that says, in part, quote, the franchise owner has taken immediate action, and the two employees involved are no longer with the business. Both the franchise owner and Smoothie King corporate have reached out to the guests several times to apologize and will continue to follow up.
Okay, first of all, knock it off with the GoFundMe. I mean, it's what legal.
Yeah, I have a problem with that.
Stop,
What lawsuit are you going to bring? There's not going to be a cause of action there. And if you really have a decent claim, there's going to be a plaintiff's attorney who will take it on a contingency fee basis.
Yeah, so that's a little snowflakery on that. Just
Well, or just
what's the harm? You didn't get your smoothie. I mean,
well, yeah. I mean, it's. Yeah, I agree with you.
And the kids got fired. I mean, the business reacted. So basically, collectively, are we just getting dumber as a society, or are we just letting our tribalism saturate us so much to the point that these kids, I'm going to say kids, I'm going to assume every Smoothie King I've been to or one of those places, they're all young people, or the Froyo or whatever. Or is it just we've let that tribalism saturate so much that so many people just assume they have a right to do that?
Well, I will say this. Let's assume that the people, the employees were young people. I think that's a fair assumption. Their parents
odds are good.
Odds are good. Their parents have not done them any favors.
Right.
If they've not taught them that you can be in the same room with somebody who has a different opinion from you, who voted for somebody different from you, who's sporting the name of the current president of the United States and not have a conniption over it.
Right.
So first of all, there needs to be some schooling.
Right. Well, they got a little bit schooled because they got fired.
Yeah, but I mean,
that means that they go down to Froyo and get a job there. You do the exact same thing.
I guess. But yeah, and also I think maybe as an employer, you need to maybe have those conversations with your employees. Like, look, there might be times where there's a reason to ask somebody to leave or to tell them that you can't serve them. That these are the situations. But it's not because you don't like what their hat says.
Well, I mean, it's just interesting as well that a lot of these places, they accept tips, and you really would rather not. If you really despise somebody on political grounds, wouldn't you want their money in your pocket instead of them having their money?
But this is somebody who's these are probably people who spend a lot of their time online, and the capital online isn't dollar bills. It is your virtue signaling and how many likes you get over it and how many people think how many cool points you get over it.
I wonder if they're going to try to start a GoFundMe. Like I was oppressed.
That's what they did. They started a GoFundMe, like, help us with our legal.
Really?
No. What I'm saying is the employees
might start a GoFundMe. Oh, sorry, I was still with the the oppressed, Trump supporters who didn't get a smoothie.
Yeah.
And I get that's not what they're arguing, but the fact that they went and rushed and set up a GoFundMe to do stop.
Not a fan. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Smoothie King's taking a bigger hit than you're going to with your frivolous lawsuit.
I lost my job standing up to fascism. Please donate.
Right. So that would not surprise me at all. No, I wouldn't contribute to that either.
Yeah, there will be plenty of dumbasses out there that'll participate in the capitalist system and give those kids some money.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I don't blame the customers for being offended.
Oh, sure,
and
definitely.
For making a stink about it.
Right.
Absolutely agree with that. You don't need to file a lawsuit, right?
You don't.
It's not the end of your world.
Yeah.
And you're going to be just fine. So let's.
And it looks like the company responded in the right way.
Right.
That's the thing is Smoothie King says, yeah, we fired him, both of them. The corporate said this is a franchise. Franchise says we got rid of them.
Right.
What more do you want?
Maybe a free coupon.
Well,
or something.
that's true.
Like a month's worth of free smoothies or something
with the extra protein scoop.
Sure. I mean,
come on.
That's good customer service. That I could see. Yeah, there doesn't need to be a lawsuit over this.
You don't have to attack every business, especially when they react the right. Now, if they ran cover for the kids or something, then becomes a local hubbub for a little bit.
Yes.
But it's like, guys, as much as that was stupid, let's leave. That message is getting out there to everybody else, and hopefully there's a conversation in every other franchise operation, which is most of these types of businesses, they're franchises, to where word's getting down. By the way, everybody, just so you know, in this divided, tense world that we've got, remind everybody to treat all the customers like they're paying customers, and we would like them to spend money with us.
Yeah. Can I point out, this happened at the Ann
Arbor,
Arbor, Michigan. So it's not a local franchise. So don't take it out on your local
Right.
smoothie.
No. Had not, the folks off of Hanley Road had nothing to do with it.
Now, Don on YouTube, good morning, Don, says, I wouldn't say tribalism. I would say one side has been harassed and targeted for so long that they are tired of it and looking to fight back. Suing is frivolous, but the other option is throwing hands.
Or not doing business with them.
No.
I mean, I just disagree. Thank you for the comment, but throwing hands is because you don't get a smoothie is not an option.
The other option is what's being done.
Yeah.
You make your complaint, you let it be known, you go to the news with it, and the company is taking action in response to that. That's the appropriate action here. That's redress.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's honestly a free market response.
Yeah.
To this. Now the Smoothie King going to run out and start sponsoring MAGA rallies? No. I have no idea where Smoothie King's coming from in their corporate.
This doesn't have anything to do with that, I don't think.
They sell glorified milkshakes, which are pretty darn tasty.
They're
they're
pretty
tasty.
good.
They're pretty good.
I enjoy a good Smoothie King every now and then.
Right. And so it's one of the things where I think it's more about probably reflective, and I'm stereotyping a little bit, but probably reflective of a younger generation between the K through 12 schools and social media, like you said, Susie. They just have the framework that this is normal to treat people who are on the right as less than.
Yeah.
So that part of what Don said, I agree with.
Right. Yeah, and I totally understand the frustration. I mean, don't even get me started. It's just, what is
we got
the
3 minutes left. Get started.
All I'm saying is, as somebody who has many people in her life that are not on the right side of the political spectrum, I'm very familiar with the slights and the comments and the sneers and all of that sort of thing. And I understand the frustration. I think in this instance, when you're talking about this type of situation, what's been done here is appropriate.
Right. The good guys won.
What's a lawsuit going to do? What is the... Yeah, first of all, it's not going to be successful.
Right.
So you don't want people filing frivolous lawsuits. Sorry.
I thought we were against that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think this is the good resolution.
Yeah. The right one.
The right one.
You've probably got, and again, these kids are, I mean, whether they're high school or college or whatever they are, they're probably heroes in their local circles.
It could be.
They're probably some kind of like bizarre martyrdom, for them, so now they can go, work at the gas station.
Yeah. Where I'm sure they're still going to encounter people that have Trump paraphernalia or, apparel.
No, I'm not too well versed on discrimination law. I know it's illegal. You cannot reject service to somebody based on, their race, for example, or, their sex.
Right.
And I would assume that would extend to religion as well. If somebody's clearly of a certain religion, you can't reject them from your, if they're not doing anything wrong. But would it then make sense to have political affiliation be part of the protected peoples?
No. You're talking about, first of all, you're talking about immutable characteristics when you're talking about race and gender. And those are basic fundamental parts of the civil rights scheme that we have here. Not
we understand what you mean.
Statutory scheme. And then religion kind of folds into that because you've got the First Amendment, that sort of thing. So there's protected classes that if somebody is going to discriminate against somebody, that's going to be subjected to what they call strict scrutiny. Like you're going to look at that really close. But just someone's political preferences, how they vote, where they work, whatever, those sorts of things, no.
Yeah, I mean, no more than like somebody walks into some business here and they're wearing Chicago Cubs stuff. Like, we don't serve your kind. Get out.
Right.
Now, should that be legal in St. Louis? Yes.
No, it is.
Yeah,
it is legal to do that.
Well, yeah.
It's just bad marketing.
It's bad marketing.
Yeah, because think about we reserve the right to refuse service to anybody. Yeah, you can decide not to serve a Cubs fan or a Blackhawks fan. You can decide not to serve a Trump voter or a Kamala voter.
Right.
But then that's at your own peril because then it's going to get out on the news and you're going to look like a dummy and you're shooting yourself in the foot.
These kids do.
Exactly.
I say kids, they're probably young adults. That would be my guess. But
either that or they're aging hippies. It's possible.
Aging hippies don't have jobs.
Oh, that's a fair point. Well, whether you have a job or not, we have a fun event coming up that we want you to be a part of. The St. Charles County Lincoln Trump Dinner Join the St. Charles County Republican Central Committee for a great night of speeches, food, and fun, all to support the Republican Party in St. Charles County. It's Friday, March 20th at Old Hickory Golf Club in St. Peters. The VIP reception starts at 5:30. Dinner and program start at 6:30. Plus, you can enter the Second Amendment raffle that is being sponsored by our friends at Corral Roofing when you log on to register for the event. Just go to stcharlesgop.com for more info and to get registered, and we will see you there.
Didn't know how to play it, but he knew for sure that one guitar felt good in his hand.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
They should not be part of polite society.
On News Talk STL.
This app is absolutely fantastic.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
It is awesome.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
If you love your pet, which I know you do, then they deserve the excellent treatment and care they'll receive at Pacific Animal Hospital in Pacific, Missouri, a full-service veterinarian facility. Originally built and grown by my dad, Dr. Bill Jones, a new generation of wonderful veterinarians and staff at Pacific continue to provide outstanding medical, surgical, dental, boarding, and grooming services for your favorite furry friends. Our family entrusts the care of our pets only to the experienced docs and staff at Pacific Animal Hospital. You should too. Call them today, 636-257-2100, 24/7 at PacificVets.com, PacificVets.com.
Hi, this is Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the region's largest RE/MAX real estate brokerage. It is cold outside, but the real estate market is hot. This is a great time to buy or sell a home. Interest rates are also declining, which gives you more buying power. Someday is not a day on the calendar, but today is. Call me at 314-852-8933 for a free custom home buying plan. 314-852-8933.
I'm in my late 60s. My husband died a few years ago. He did all of our taxes. I sold a piece of property last year, and I forgot to claim the proceeds of the sale. Next thing I know, I got a letter from the IRS telling me that I owe over $50,000. Now I have a huge tax problem. I don't have that kind of money. I wish I knew who to call.
If you sold property in the last calendar year or didn't claim all of your part-time or even retirement income, you could be in big trouble with the IRS. Call first before they send you a letter. If you've already got a letter, call. We'll help you file years of past tax returns and save you time and money. So call the tax doctor. The call is confidential and free.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Back to the street where we began, feeling as good as others can, you know. Yeah, we're feeling so good.
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
All right, we are here in about, 40 minutes or so. Our friend Mark Schmitz from the Freedom 13 going to be with us.
Mm-hmm.
I got to thinking because we're watching all the news of the war, but I think a lot of people are looking at it as though it's a character drama on television. We don't actually feel it the way that we used to feel things.
Mm-hmm.
We look at it in a political, tribal way. And so I asked Mark, I said, would you be willing to talk about when you get that call? We now have 6 U.S. service members who have been killed. And that's a number in the news. And that's a casualty. But Mark got that call that it was his son. And Mark said he's absolutely willing to recount that for us and discuss what these families are now going through and what more families are going to go through as well.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that around 7:35. All right, drama continues even after the primary election night in Texas. Results impact the entire country, and the results aren't fully known yet. We're not going to know for several weeks.
True.
Redbirds back on the field today. Blues back on the ice tonight. I've got those updates for you. 6:49 right now. Let's go ahead and do another news dump.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The morning news dump.
Okay, briefings before Congress throughout the week here regarding the war in Iran. Democrats and to be fair, a couple of Republicans still say the strikes are illegal. They're concerned that the conflict could become another forever war. Senator Eric Schmitz was on Fox's The Ingram Angle. He says the Trump administration's been on the up and up, and he's on board with the objectives.
So they're taking out those, ballistic missiles that would protect that program. But President Trump has been, clear that and has learned, I think, the lessons from history here that we're not interested in a forever war in the Middle East.
Okay, and so far 6 Americans have been killed. We know of 18 who were wounded. That was at least the last count that I saw. I don't know.
Yeah,
if
I haven't seen any updates on that.
So nothing this morning on that. All right, President Trump lashing out at Spain for not supporting U.S. military attacks in Iran.
During an Oval Office meeting with Germany's chancellor, the president complained about Spain's lack of support for the war against Iran, at one point saying that U.S. military jets could just fly in and use Spain's air bases without permission.
We're going to cut off all trade with Spain. We don't want anything to do with Spain.
It's unclear how that could happen, given that Spain is under the umbrella of the European Union, which negotiates trade deals on behalf of all 27 member countries. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Yeah, we're not cutting off all trade with Spain. That's just not going to happen. All right, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says, you know what, it's easy for Republicans to get funding for the Department of Homeland Security. All they have to do is give Democrats whatever they want.
Simply to agree to our common sense proposals on ICE and Border Patrol. These are proposals. What we've asked for is what every police force does.
Okay, so DHS been shut down for a little over 2 weeks, about 2.5 weeks at this point. And Kristi Noem had those hearings yesterday.
She's got more today.
Yeah, so I've got a couple highlights from yesterday's.
Highlights?
Chris Coons, you saw the oh crap moment on his face when he questioned her about, one part of all of this. And it was, I will say that it wasn't a complete circus, but it was for show by everybody, I think, especially for the Democrats.
So this was in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee, which is a little more staid. Today it's in front of the House Judiciary Committee. You think you're going to see a circus?
Oh, it'll be a circus.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right, so I've got some clips from that. Let's put it that way here in just a little bit. All right, St. Louis prosecutors charging a man with trying to sexually abuse children at a Kirkwood Walmart. Now, they say that he might have also done the same thing at a nearby Target as well. And again, I don't normally do the gross, like crime news stuff here. There's plenty of places you can go over that, but there's a reason that I'm telling you all this. 33-year-old Esmond Pasick faces 2 counts being held on a $250,000 cash-only bond. Police say that he's on camera approaching children in the Walmart while touching himself, and he asked at least one child to touch him. At least one alleged victim is 7 years old that they've already spoken with the family. Now, here's why I'm putting this on the radio. Police think 3 other children were approached, and they are asking their families to contact police. So that's why they want this out there to say, we've got it on camera. It looks like 3 other children were approached. They obviously can't hear what happened off the camera. But if your family was one of those families, police and the prosecuting attorney's office are asking you to call them so that they can put this guy away for as long as possible.
Absolutely. And, it sounds like this is somebody who's got some serious issues. But, yeah, obviously there are more people out there with information on this. And anything that can be used to help put him in jail where he belongs is helpful.
My life was not enriched by reading the criminal complaint against him.
No,
not at all. Okay, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer was on Fox's Jesse Waters Primetime, giving a recap of some of the things that happened in those depositions of Bill and Hillary Clinton regarding their ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Here's part of what he said.
She said under oath multiple times she never met Jeffrey Epstein. Even when we showed the picture of her with Jeffrey Epstein, she said she didn't remember meeting with Jeffrey Epstein. President Clinton admitted that Jeffrey Epstein was at the White House 17 times. President Clinton admitted that he flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane at least 27 times.
Okay, so congratulations, you got him, but what are you going to do with it? And so far, all I'm seeing is we're going to win the soundbite war on social media, and we're going to go on Hannity all the time. What are Republicans going to do with this?
That's a fair question. The investigation, the looking into it is still ongoing, but does it go anywhere? Does it do anything? That's a fair question.
Yeah, I think let me just say right now, neither of the Clintons are going to be held accountable for whatever they did or didn't do with the Epsteins. It just ain't going to happen.
One thing to be clear of is Congress isn't, I mean, this isn't, we're not talking about criminal repercussions. Whether or not there's a crime that can be prosecuted is not for Congress to evaluate necessarily. I mean, they can make a referral,
they can make a
to
referral,
the DOJ,
yeah.
but I don't know if there is something that would warrant that here. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, you know, neither of them are in office anymore. I mean, you know, I guess you could ultimately come to the conclusion and have it be part of the official congressional record of all their dastardly deeds.
Yeah.
But from a punishment standpoint, this isn't going to be the angle for that.
No, it's
or
not.
The avenue for that.
Yeah. So I mean, okay, great. You got them. You know, I'm convinced that they're lying, and you know the Republicans have the goods on it, but nothing's going to be done with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the end of the inquiry. There's still more people to talk to. They're going to talk to Howard Lutnick.
Yeah, as they should.
As they should.
Yeah.
So it's still an ongoing thing. But I think it's fair to say.
Because if he's got involvement with Epstein, and then there at least could be the repercussions that he could be forced out of office.
So I guess the question is this too, though. You know, I mean, anybody who is looking at this, I guess, kind of objectively going into it, recognizes that there's going to be minimal repercussions that could come from congressional investigation.
Right.
But do we not go forward with it?
I mean, I think if they were serious, I mean, if there's like, we're going to refer this to the Department of Justice or that sort of thing. But the reality is that this is for political gain. I don't think this is about justice. I don't think this is about making victims whole.
But should they not hold the investigation?
No, I think they should. I just think they should do something with it more. And it's not I don't have a problem with them doing the investigation. I want them to do the investigation. I want them to do the hearings. I've just lost confidence that they're actually going to do anything with it.
I'm just trying to think through what they can actually do.
Yep, Don mentions that he's wondering if the statute of limitations for some of the stuff may have expired already. My thing is I've really just given up any hope of anybody being actually arrested or even fined, but it would still be nice to have these people that were connected with Jeffrey Epstein removed from positions of power, because it's still that national security issue going on besides the trafficking of the girls.
Yeah, I mean, and we actually have seen that across the pond.
Yeah, over there.
Yeah. So I understand that. I agree with the frustration. I'm just trying to think through logically, legally, what the possible actual repercussions might be.
I think what's being looked at as what's a win is not about, at this point, justice. I think it's about embarrassing the other side. I think that's what's happening.
But I think that always was. That's my point.
That's I don't disagree with that at all. That's part of the problem. All right, Cardinals play again today. They play Nicaragua this afternoon as the baseball world is gearing up for the World Baseball Classic. Matthew Liberatore is going to be on the mound for the Redbirds to start this one. This is going to be in Jupiter. First pitch is at 12:05. Team USA played the San Francisco Giants on Tuesday. Whew, 15-1.
Awkward.
Listen, in old man baseball, there's a mercy rule after 7 innings in our games, and this game would not have been allowed to continue in old man baseball. Ouch. But they went through. They went and finished it 15-1. Blues back on the ice tonight. They've got the Kraken in Seattle. This one is going to be on ESPN Plus. Puck drops at 9 o'clock. Blues are still in last place in the Central Division, 22, 29, and 9 so far this season, but they've won 2 of their last 3.
When insurance companies know you're represented by under law, they know you're not going to be pushed around. So if you suffer an injury, damage to your property, serve the insurance company notice you have under law on your side. A St. Louis firm you can trust to protect you at every turn, not settle for less. You want to win? Call 314-9-MILLION. 314-9-MILLION. Under wins.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team
right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with this free call. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. Amit Thomason. The U.S. and Israel continue to lay waste to Iran's military assets, destroying hundreds of its ballistic missiles, rockets, and drones. In the words of CENTCOM Commander Admiral Brad Cooper, in simple terms, we're focused on shooting all the things that can shoot at us. Anxious travelers who had been stuck in the Mideast at the outset of the conflict tell some pretty dramatic stories of their escape.
German Mario Mueller, landing in Frankfurt, described tense moments before he managed to get on a flight from Dubai. The attacks sounded like airplanes breaking the sound barrier, he says. Michael and Karen Blischke said they watched as the anti-missile system near the Burj Khalifa shot everything down. Airspace across the Gulf is closed and major airlines have canceled flights. Other travelers are marooned on cruise ships that can no longer sail the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. State Department says they are preparing military and charter flights as they urge Americans to leave around a dozen countries. I'm Jennifer King.
Gasoline prices are spiking amid the showdown with Iran. Gas Buddy's Patrick DeHaan says pressure on natural gas exports in the Mideast will hike the price of other types of energy as well.
As Qatar announces that ceasing natural gas production, given the Strait of Hormuz de facto closure that we're seeing, that is also causing the price of heating oil, which can be used as a replacement to natural gas, to skyrocket. Heating oil and diesel are also essentially the same product. So partially as a result of that natural gas curtailment, we're seeing diesel and heating oil prices jump to their highest level since 2024. That is going to be certainly a very significant point of contention for the U.S. economy.
AAA's national average for a gallon of gas is up 9 cents since yesterday. On Wall Street, the Dow futures down 60 points. NASDAQ futures up 17 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I had a lot of credit card debt, and it stressed me out. But what I thought was a solution turned out to be a problem. I kept hearing ads about debt settlement that seemed too good to be true. And actually, it was. When I called, they told me to stop paying my bills. That didn't sound right to me at all, so I hung up. Later, I found out that debt settlement is bad, real bad. Then I learned that there is a right way to pay off your credit cards. It's called a debt management program from the great team at Trinity. Trinity had a plan. In the end, I paid off my bills, I saved thousands, and I even improved my credit score.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-990-6976.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shans Contra with your first alert forecast. We've issued a first alert weather day as we head off towards from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Could see the possibility for some large hail, some strong winds, and even an isolated tornado risk as the day goes on. Scattered showers and storms will clear as we head off into early Thursday morning. Then into Friday night, could be seeing the potential for more chances of showers and storms through the region. Temperatures by Friday up to 80 degrees. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you will be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline.
Hello, Kirk Ilsinger, chairman of the Republican Party for the city of St. Louis, and we believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. I invite you to our meetings the first Thursday of every month. Learn more at stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer. Mike Ferguson.
What is that private pile? Sir, jelly donut, sir. A jelly donut?
Susie Moore.
Mama don't like tattletales.
Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
You rule out the deployment of ICE or CBP to polling places this November.
There are no plans to have ICE officers at our polling locations. And
I'm glad to hear that, but would you rule it out? Would you say it will not happen?
Do you plan on illegal aliens voting in our elections?
Okay, so that happened.
Fair question.
And the funny part is the camera was right there on Secretary Kristi Noem the whole time. And you see as he's like, thinking he's really got her, and you see this look on her face like, really, dude? I mean, it wasn't a look of like, I hate you, or
No.
I mean, the look was really like, really? Seriously?
Yeah.
That you're going with this.
Mhm.
That's what I was reading on the expression on her
Mhm.
face.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness. All right. I've actually got the rest of the exchange of that. So let's put the whole thing in context here in just a moment. 7:06 right now. So, we like to say here in the building that News Talk STL is looking at and talking about and living life through a conservative lens.
Sure.
Yeah. And that's frankly why our partnership with Red State makes so much sense at
Hand in
redstate.com.
glove.
That's right. So, Susie, what is hot off of the proverbial presses today?
This is the Red State Rundown.
Yes, thankfully we are living in the digital age, not dealing with actual printing presses, because I think I would be deaf by now. But one of our big stories this morning is kind of, you may not have heard about this. This is from Eli Shepard. There's a video that has emerged of a UCSF, University of California, San Francisco, administrator threatening to kill a critic of child trans surgeries. This is an administrator at the college, and they're caught on video going off on somebody who was questioning the validity of child transition surgeries.
So this is bad.
Bad.
Okay.
Bad. But yeah, definitely take a look at that one. Jennifer Oliver O'Connell, one of our frequent guests here on the show, she has this fun little hot takes. Libertarian Brain Trust dunks on Iranian women celebrating freedom, and they dunk right back. This is kind of what we were talking about yesterday.
Yeah. I read that article.
Yeah. She had a little fun with it. Kind of, basically this gal showed her rear end, and it didn't go well for
this
her.
is one of the dumbest things. I mean, and you would have thought if anybody, it would be libertarians who would. I mean, that was just one of the.
This is one of those take all the seats type situations, and Jennifer handles it lovely. There were other primaries yesterday in Arkansas and in North Carolina. And North Carolina had some really interesting things, some outcomes as well. Sister Tolja has her piece up. The stage is set in the Senate race. Michael Whatley will be taking on Roy Cooper in the North Carolina Senate race. That's going to be an interesting.
That's going to be a tough race.
Oh yeah, and Cooper has the advantage there. Yeah. But there's a lot of lower House races and state level races in North Carolina that ended up being surprises. Like some old school entrenched establishment candidates either got their bells rung or didn't, barely cross the finish line. So there's some interesting stuff going on in North Carolina too.
There's some interesting dynamics happening in
all
lots
over the
of different
place.
places.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So keep an eye on that.
All right, redstate.com. All right, Secretary Kristi Noem did battle with Democrats in a hearing in a Senate committee on Tuesday. And like Susie said, it's the House.
Guess who's on that House committee?
Who's on the House committee?
Jasmine.
You think she'll be there?
I don't know.
Yeah.
She might not. She might still be licking her wounds.
Right, yeah.
If she is, she's going to be loaded for bear.
Oh, she is. Yep. Okay, so there were many choice exchanges that I could have grabbed the audio and played for, but this one just kind of seemed to set social media on fire. So here's the longer drawn out, just a minute or so of that exchange between Senator Chris Coons and Secretary Kristi Noem.
Will you rule out the deployment of ICE or CBP to polling places this November?
There are no plans to have ICE officers at our polling locations. And
I'm glad to hear that, but would you rule it out? Would you say it will not happen?
do you plan on illegal aliens voting in our elections, Senator?
I do not. In
okay,
fact,
then
the
there
Heritage
should be no need to, unless you plan on illegal
Madam
aliens
Secretary,
voting.
the Heritage Foundation recently concluded that over a 20-year period where they reviewed hundreds of millions, billions of voting cases, they found only a small handful of actual cases of illegals voting. So I'm concerned by your rebuttal, which suggests you may be unfamiliar with 18 U.S.C. Section 592. Are you familiar with this federal statute that relates to sending armed men to polling places?
There are no plans to send any of our law enforcement officers to polling locations.
But, Madam Secretary, you're clear it would
there
be
have
a
been
federal
illegal
crime
aliens.
for you to do so.
There are illegal aliens that have voted, and it's been proven in the past in certain cases in certain states. We provide a program to states. I think we have 27 different states that utilize our SAVE program now to verify individuals that are eligible to vote in their elections. And as states run their election systems, we encourage them to use that to make sure they maintain their election integrity.
Okay, so first, real quick, who had a left-wing Democrat citing the Heritage Foundation as a source on their bingo card today?
I did not.
Yeah, now I'm one of those who thinks the Heritage Foundation is basically discredited at the moment, but still,
it's true.
That one, I don't do Heritage Foundation anymore for a variety of reasons, but I'm thinking Chris Coons going, well, the Heritage Foundation, as though he actually buys into the Heritage Foundation.
Well,
although,
that's what we might call in legal parlance an admission against interest.
Yeah.
So basically, if you've got somebody on the other side who's saying something that agrees with
Right.
you, that lends it a little credibility because theoretically they shouldn't be agreeing with you.
Mhm.
But I don't really know that it lands with the power that Coons was wanting it to land.
No, and at some point, and it wasn't even so much that she necessarily was like, I'm going to debate you on,
Yeah.
federal statute, whatever. It's basically,
Why is this an issue?
think about what you're scared about and then answer my basic question.
Yeah. Well, like, it's
Now,
either
first of all, he made a mistake in letting her question him. That was he lost control of it.
That's true. Well, I mean, it's either a complete red herring.
Yeah.
Or they legitimately think that for some reason people who are illegal aliens are hanging out in and around polling places. I'm thinking that's maybe the last place they would be.
You would
but
hope. Now, not that it hasn't happened.
Not that it hasn't happened.
There was a
but
place in Kansas where a mayor was just getting deported because it turns out he's in the country illegally and he was
presumably at the
freaking
polling
elected
place
mayor.
there at some point. Yeah, no, but I mean, it's like, why is this suddenly a concern of yours? Why? What is it that you're worried is going to happen?
Well, and it was a bigger part of, like even with Dick Durbin, and I've got an exchange with him with Kristi Noem here. The Democrats want to put the spotlight back on Minnesota. I mean, this is.
I think that's a good idea.
That's not a good idea. For instance, here's Illinois Senator Dick Durbin mixing it up with Secretary Kristi Noem at that same hearing.
Is it so hard to say you were wrong?
We
and
continue
issue a
as these
retraction?
investigations continue to go. We will provide. I absolutely strive to provide factual information, and we'll continue
And when
to
you
do
fail,
that.
do you admit it publicly?
Absolutely, we always know
Will
that
you
there's
admit it
room
now?
for.
Okay, so what they were talking about was the surge in Minnesota, and he was bringing up the shootings of Alex Preddy and Renee Good. And so basically saying, see, that shows you shouldn't have been after the illegal aliens in Minnesota.
Yeah, that's not sound logic. I don't. You said Minnesota, and it triggered something for me because Tim Walz and Keith Ellison are testifying today before the House Oversight Committee. So Minnesota is going to be back front and center, both between the House Judiciary talking to Kristi Noem and Walz and Ellison testifying.
So this would be the House version of that Senate hearing, a week ago or so, right?
Yeah, but did Walz testify?
No, Keith Ellison did, though, because he mixed it up with Josh Hawley.
So this is the mirror image of that, but it's with new and improved with Tim Walz. So today's going to be very spicy on the Hill.
And I'm curious about the Democrat strategy that we think the country's going to, if the country wasn't, there wasn't as angry about the surge in all the illegal aliens who were caught in Minnesota, especially those with the heinous crimes.
Right.
Now, did people after time get uneasy with the show of violence and everything that was happening? But that doesn't necessarily mean they blamed the Trump administration for it. And so the Democrats saying, "Ooh, let's keep the focus there." I don't get the strategy.
I think we have to be careful of it on the right too.
Oh, yeah.
The bubble dwelling, and everybody in my circle feels this way. Therefore, that's just how everybody feels. I think there's a lot of that going on. I think there's a lot of insular reporting and reinforcing. And just like we've separated out into Twitter and Blue Sky.
Oh yeah.
So I don't go to Blue Sky.
Never been on it.
I
Nope.
need to maintain my mental health.
Yeah.
So I just stay away from it. But I would highly suspect that there are two totally different narratives moving down the track parallel to one another that many people that don't realize that the other one exists in any meaningful way.
Or has a right to exist.
Well, that's true
I
too.
mean, that's where we've gotten.
That's the big difference. You got the right to exist and do your thing and think your things, but I don't have to agree with you.
No, and I don't have to go to Blue Sky.
No.
And I don't know how big Blue Sky has gotten over the years. I have no idea. But
I think it's pretty big, but I think it's either people that are on the left that are reinforcing one another and slapping each other on the back, that sort of thing, or it's people on the right pointing and laughing.
Yeah, I mean, but isn't basically Truth Social the same thing? It's just like the MAGA community, kind of self-sustaining, itself and being that community.
Well,
I'm not on Truth Social either.
The key difference is that Truth Social users typically stay on Truth Social, whereas Blue Sky they will keep coming back and spend most of their time on X to talk about how much better Blue Sky is than X.
Right.
Because nobody's interacting with them on Blue Sky. So
the thing, I think what I would say is that they're different in that to me, Blue Sky is the leftist answer to Twitter. Like they are they're much similar in terms of their structure and the flow. Truth Social is all Trump. It's
the Trump world, yeah.
Right. So if you want that, I mean, I post our articles on Truth Social because they're part of that world.
Absolutely.
But I don't go there to have a conversation.
No.
That's, to me, it's almost like Facebook for the MAGA crowd, if you will.
I mean, it's almost a networking for MAGA. As much as anything else, it's networking. And again, I'm not on Truth Social. I'm never going to be on Truth Social. I don't have an issue. I don't have a problem with it. I'm on enough social media as is. I don't need more social media.
Right.
So,
Right. So, I mean, I think they're different kinds of platforms in but I don't know. To me, it's like I've seen people referring to go check it out on Blue Sky. I'm like, no, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Something totally new and different here.
Yes.
You know what? There's a few seats left at Thursday's Church and Life Luncheon. This is a free event provided by Reach Reproductive Health. It's designed to connect ministries in St. Louis with others in the pro-life movement. Get more information and reserve your spot at outreachforlife.org. The luncheon will be at the Commons on Clayton Road in Chesterfield.
I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Everybody wants me to dance. Could you imagine FDR dancing?
On NewsTalk STL.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Colombo and Company.
Trump and allies continue to turn up the pressure on Iran, and DHS goes after Dick Durbin. We'll discuss it all Wednesday, plus Danny Define, Rodney Boyd, and closest cabinet.
Live and local, weekdays at 2 on NewsTalk STL.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney.
As a doctor, I see the body heal every day. But is there more to healing than biology? This week, Pastor Ryan Hart and I talk about miracles, spiritual gifts, and whether they're still active today. Faith meets physiology. Don't miss it.
Simply Health, Saturdays at noon on NewsTalk STL. To find out more about Simply Health Integrated Medical, log on to simplyhealthintegrated.com.
1 in 4 women will have an abortion before the age of 45 in this country. That's the tragedy we must work to stop. Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show here, and that is why Reach Reproductive Health is here, to empower parents to save the lives of innocent children and to see these families come to Christ. And you can be a part of saving and changing lives. So pray and visit outreachforlife.org to learn more, volunteer, and donate. That's outreachforlife.org.
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
We're through being cool. We're through being cool. Eliminate the minis and the twits. Going to bang some heads. Going to beat some butts.
I'm Congressman Bob Onder, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
I don't know that song. I'm going to pound some heads and beat some butts. Who's that?
Really?
Yeah, who's that?
I've heard it.
Really? You
Yeah.
don't know Devo?
Oh, I know Devo. I don't think I knew that song. That's a deep cut.
We're through being cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
There it is.
Okay, so
You got me on one.
I'm actually, of all the ones we've played, that's the one I'm most surprised about.
Yeah. I mean, I was never a huge new wave guy, but I know the couple of huge hits they had, but that one stumped me. I didn't get that one.
David's a big Devo fan.
Yeah. Is he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Flashback Friday got me really deep into Devo lately.
They're kind of having a resurgence, actually. Like
Yeah.
on like the 80s cruise things and some
Retro.
of the festival, the retro festivals. Devo's kind of like back.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we're just living our lives around here. There's a war going on, but we're just kind of living our lives around here. I mean, so I'm saying let's kind of self-reflective here just a little bit, because I really kind of want to set the stage for talking to Mark Schmitz here in about 15 minutes or so. President Trump saying the U.S. is in control when it comes to the war in Iran. Here's the update.
The president said the ongoing combat operations have been very successful in eliminating Iran's forces and systems.
They have no Navy, it's been knocked out. They have no Air Force, it's been knocked out. They have no air detection, that's been knocked out. Their radar has been knocked out.
He also disputed claims that Israel forced the U.S. to take action. The president said, if anything, he might have forced Israel's hand because he believed Iran was done.
Okay, so Iran's already hit 4.
Clugston, Washington.
Okay, so Iran's already hit 4 oil tankers. They've closed off 80% of the oil going through the Strait of Hormuz at this point. So they're still swinging back, but I think President Trump is obviously correct in that the complete dominance at this point is by the U.S. and our allies.
Yeah, the difficulty is that their options are becoming more and more limited, and that makes them more dangerous in some respects,
Totally.
like cornered rats. Sorry, don't mean to equate people with rats, but metaphorically.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it definitely the U.S. and Israel have been dominating this conflict, and Iran is going to strike out any way they can. They're using like electronic jamming devices to mess with some of the shipping and stuff as well, which is why yesterday President Trump issued the order saying that he's going to ask the DFC, something to offer political risk insurance, and also there may be U.S. naval escorts of shipping through. I mean, we're doing what we can to answer back that sort of asymmetrical move from Iran.
Yeah.
But that's going to affect us at the pump. We're already seeing it, as Jerome pointed out. Yeah, we're at $2.99 right now.
I forgot to fill up yesterday, so it'll probably be $3.10 or $3.15 by the time I get there today.
and it'll be interesting to see how like if that's an enduring thing or if it kind of spikes and then the stock market wasn't happy yesterday. So we are.
No, you're messing with oil. You're messing with a lot.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing those effects. As far as walking into the grocery store and going, oh yeah, you can totally see. No,
right. No. And the thing is that. It's not. I'm not saying that that people don't care. Okay,
no.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I don't know that just because of the way we consume news now, and we consume almost everything as though it's a movie or an episodic in front of us, and we care. We have principles and values, but I don't know that we feel it the way that past generations have felt it when we went to war, even if we did not personally go.
I think a lot of that has to do with basically just information overload. I mean, systems are overwhelmed. I mean, I consider myself somebody who is an emotional person. I feel things, but I'm intaking so much information in a given day. I am kind of becoming inured to it because I can't process it otherwise.
Right. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with saying I have to stop. Okay. Like for instance, I've come up with my own rules on a couple things for exactly the reason you're just talking about, Susie, is that at some point on at least one weekend day, if not both, if I can get away with it, I'll go charge my phone into the charger in the bedroom and just leave it there and make it a point of either the midday or the whole afternoon or whatever. I'm taking a massive chunk of the day, 6-8 hours, and I'm not going to touch the phone.
I need to learn how to do
I'm not going to. I walk away I will go out and do stuff without the phone. And yes, that means if there's an emergency somewhere, somebody can't get a hold of me instantaneously, it's a risk I'm going to take.
Yeah. And
now, you've got a different situation right now with your mom.
That's really hard
with
right
your
now.
mom, that's a different situation.
So yeah, but there is that need to set those boundaries mentally and I'm a workaholic. I always have been.
Same. That's why I did it. I had to recognize that I do that.
But like Tony teases me when I'm on. He's like, I don't know. You're doing this, and this. It's right. Yeah, I am. But I recognize that I got to be careful because if you don't take that step back, first of all you become numb to it all.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And you become overwhelmed, and at some point you burn out.
And we start to look at this as though we're looking at a football game and they're showing the graphs of the play chart that somebody just ran.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my worry, is that we get connected in a disconnected way, and then we don't appreciate the humanity of what's actually happening, which is why I wanted to talk to Mark today, and we're going to talk to him in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because he got that call from the Department of Defense at the time.
Very real.
It's very, very real, and I want to take a few minutes. And listen, everybody's gonna be tempted. You're gonna be tempted to go, "Ooh, this is kind of heavy, Mike." I'm hey, midweek. Listen, I think this is important.
It is important. I mean, these are heavy times.
Yeah, and
there's no escaping that.
I've gotten to the point now where because obviously I'm going to go to bed a little bit earlier than most people because I get up early to do this. But I'm now saying, okay, at what time do I unplug from everything? Social media, email, the whole thing. Plug the phone in. Put on some music or something and just decompress.
I've got to implement a curfew.
And it's not even a matter of I want to be farther away from what's happening and I want to be less feeling and invested in it. It's a matter of, like what you're saying, you can get so overwhelmed that you invest in a fake way, or you invest in a shallow way, you invest in a non-humanity way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's not to be, this isn't about being snowflakes. No. This is about recognizing that, we're all human and we all need to, first of all, you want to be informed.
Definitely.
So you want to make sure, and you can't absorb it all. There's way too much information out there. So you want to make sure that the information you're getting is from trusted, reliable sources like NewsTalkSTL, Red State. No, and isn't all just one topic. Yeah. Gives you a break from politics, and you got to get out and connect with human beings, like face to face.
And it's okay to care about other things.
Yeah.
Dogs. because
dogs are good.
Because this is the biggest story in the world does not mean your world has to revolve around it, but we should care.
Yeah.
But it's okay to care about other stuff and have different priorities.
Baseball.
Definitely. Yeah, that's I mean, if I didn't have the baseball as an escape right now, I've got practice this afternoon. I'm going to be practicing at a field house today. And I need that.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of stuff going on in my personal life. I needed that trip to Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
So it's okay to do that. But make sure that you're doing it as a way to refresh so we stay engaged. I mean, if you're listening or watching us right now, you care. You care. Don't burn out. Because we've had some people say, I just can't take it anymore. Listen, that's why we do fun stuff in the morning as well here. We do a lot of stuff.
Change it up.
But we need, if we're going to be effective to enact a change, we need to be fresh, and we can't run ourselves into the ground. And that's not caring. That's making sure that we can care the right way.
Part of the way I stay sane is tending to the dogs. Because when you're down, when I'm there with the dogs, like there's no politics, there's no nothing going on. I'm cleaning up dog poop and barf and stuff. But if you would have told me that would have been like great, I would have never believed you. But it is because it gets me outside of my head.
Yeah,
all I'm doing is tending to another creature that needs my help, and it has nothing to do with anything going on in the news.
Right,
and that's a blessing.
And so to some degree, when we talk to Mark Schmitz here in a few minutes, yes, it's a reality check for the rest of us. But I really, because early on, we're at 5 days into Operation Epic Fury, 5 days. And we're already reporting on things. And I had to catch myself doing it because we talk about numbers. We talk about casualties. We talk about terms. And it dawned on me because I saw one of the articles on, now we have the names of 4 of the U.S. servicemen and women who were killed.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at them and I'm like, these aren't numbers.
They're people.
Yeah, this isn't just a casualty.
Right.
This is a person with a story.
And their families are hurting.
Yeah.
And their loved ones are hurting. So, yeah. No, I think it's very important. I'm glad we're doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know the names and the stories of some of the U.S. service members killed in the Iran war. And those aren't just numbers. Those are Americans who gave the ultimate sacrifice. At 7:35, we'll hear the firsthand account of what it's like to get that call from Mark Schmitz when he joins us to remind us that everyone is full of, to remind everyone of the full human cost of war.
If you live in a small town, you might be a dozen or two young alien types who step out and dare to declare, we're through being cool. We're through being cool.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Gotcha with your first alert forecast. We've issued a first alert weather day as we head off towards from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Could see the possibility for some large hail, some strong winds, and even an isolated tornado risk as the day goes on. Scattered showers and storms will clear as we head off into early Thursday morning. Then into Friday night, could be seeing the potential for more chances of showers and storms through the region. Temperatures by Friday up to 80 degrees. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
Your business moves fast. PRI Global keeps it moving smarter for almost 30 years, delivering top tech talent to help companies grow stronger, custom applications, simplifying your operations, securing your data, modernizing your business from the cloud up. And with Prismatic, you're going to get real-time insights, automated workflows, people, process, platform. PRI Global delivers all 3. PRIGlobal.com.
Larry Connor's Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's Commentary on News Talk STL.
Plans continue to build a 400-acre residential development for Muslims only in Texas, 40 miles northeast of Dallas. Now, this would be a community centered around a mosque, a K-12 faith-based school, commercial enterprises, more than 1,000 residential units. Already 450 plots are reserved, but there's several delays, regulations, conformity with federal housing laws, Texas laws. To reserve a plot, you had to put up some money, and there are questions about who's getting the money, where is it going? And there are lawsuits alleging securities fraud. The DOJ had been investigating to see if any civil rights laws were being broken, but they dropped the inquiry when the Islamists said, we will be a community of Muslims, but others can live here. But who would want to live there if they plan to impose Sharia law? Women must cover their hair. A husband can stone his wife if he thinks she's looking at another man. Under Sharia law, gays and homosexuals could be killed on the streets. This would be like taking that part of Texas and dropping it into Iran.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010 extension 3 today or visit colecombs-law.com.
Springtime in St. Louis, and if you hate to paint, do what your neighbor Mr. Rob Miller from Harvesttown Auto Body in St. Peters did. He called Rhino Shield. Rob, what was the thought process for going with Rhino Shield as a business owner?
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet, and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted.
Rob, tell everyone how the experience was with Rhino Shield from start to finish.
The process that I liked was when you came out, you gave me all of these options that would fit my building. Our building was really faded. I don't want to have to paint my building again. 25 years is a long time to not have to worry about the outside maintenance of your building as far as paint. That's a no-brainer. That's why Rhino Shield worked for me.
Are your neighbors jealous?
I would be if I was them.
Thanks, Rob. Now it's time to call 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Genius.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
I listen to News Talk STL on the app driving to work.
Download the News Talk STL app.
You got to get the News Talk STL app.
Love the app. Can listen anywhere in St. Louis.
And listen anytime.
News Talk STL right on my phone.
Anywhere.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
Sergeant First Class Nicole Amore, Captain Cody Cork, Sergeant First Class Noah Tajans, Sergeant Declan Cody. Everybody in their young, well, Captain Cork was 35, Noah Tajans, 42, Sergeant Cody, 20. I don't know the age of Sergeant First Class Amore, but those were 4 of the 6 Americans who have been killed in the war in Iran.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the news, these are numbers.
Yeah.
These are referred to as casualties because there's a term, there's a phrase. But they are men and women. They are serving their country, and they gave the ultimate sacrifice. These were casualties in Kuwait. They were hit by drones.
Mm-hmm.
We're now joined by Mark Schmitz, our friends at The Freedom 13, thefreedom13.org as well. And Mark, I can't thank you enough for being on the program, because when I reached out, you know what I'm asking you about, and I'm asking you to relive what's got to be the worst or among the worst moments of your entire life, is getting that notification from, at the time, the Department of Defense, now would be the Department of War, I'm sure, to say your loved one has been killed serving our country. Now, I want to get into the differences now versus when you got that news. How does that happen, and what goes through your mind and your heart and your family and your household when the worst news you can possibly get is arriving at your doorstep?
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me on. You know, the leading up to that terrible news is the wait. You know, we all witnessed what happened back in August 26th of 21 when there was a suicide bombing at Abbey Gate, and you know, there was initially no reports of any casualties, and then there were. They started trickling in. It was 2, then it was 4, and 6, etc., and got up to 13. And when you have a loved one that's deployed in that region and potentially in harm's way, you just don't know if your loved one is one of those numbers. And that part was horrific. I leaned on a bunch of buddies of mine that served as Marines, and they all assured me, you know, he hasn't called you yet because he's busy, you know, obviously with everything going on. And, you know, with that, I went to bed and eventually fell asleep. Well, it was 2:42 in the morning, and I still to this day have no idea how I heard the knock on the door, because our doorbell, ironically, was broken at the time, and they did not knock very loud, but somehow it woke me up. And I made my way to the door, and I could see through the glass that there were 2 figures standing on the other side of the door. And as I approached, I see the metals starting to shine through the door, and my heart started to sink. And at that very moment, I just wanted to will it to be an injury report, which I guess deep down I knew that they don't do that. You know, you'll get notified if your loved one is injured, but not in that way. And I kind of stood there in shock, and they didn't say anything at first. They identified who they were and asked if my wife was home, and I said, yeah, she was sleeping, let me get her. And I woke Jacqueline up, which is Jared's stepmother. She came to the door with me. We had them come inside. We sat down at the dining room table, and that's when they delivered the terrible news that Jared was one of the 13 casualties. And at that very moment, in conversations after we spoke, there's really usually two reactions you get from a parent. One is just obviously utter devastation, and it immediately hits you like you're getting slammed by a train. And the other is just utter shock, and that's what I experienced. There was no emotion at first. It just, I guess I was just trying to take it all in, and to hear that your son or daughter is no longer with you, you can imagine, is the absolute worst possible feeling that any person could ever go through. I mean, we all know as we get older that you never bury your child. Your children bury you as you hopefully die of a ripe old age. And here we were finding out that our 20-year-old son is no longer with us. And these poor families that have recently gotten that knock on the door, wow, it's something I hate to relive. I mean, I can talk to you about it now, but it's that waiting game is crushing. There's got to be an amount of time that goes by before you're actually notified, and I'll commend the military. They do a hell of a job on getting you the information as fast as humanly possible, so you're not left in that misery state of waiting and wondering. They have to do, obviously due diligence and confirmation of the body and who the person actually is by verification of dog tag, et cetera. I'm sure they do fingerprint comparisons as well to make sure that they do in fact have the right person, because God forbid they actually notify the wrong family. That would be just horrific. But as bad as you can imagine it is, just multiply that by 100. I mean, it is just utterly catastrophic.
Mark, this is Susie Moore, and I appreciate you sharing that with us. I know how hard this is to talk about and relive, and I appreciate your insight because you understand better than anybody. Talk a little bit about, you kind of touched on this, but there's 50,000 troops right now involved in this operation, and so there are, at minimum 50,000 families out there who, at least on some level, are left, kind of waiting and on edge and being concerned, but trying to not let that, overwhelm them. Talk about that balancing act that has to be done when you have a loved one who's in theater.
Well, unlike with what happened with my son, I knew where he was located. He was positioned on the Abbey Gate, and that's where the explosion from the suicide bomber happened. Now, what my son was involved in was a non-combatant evacuation mission. So there was not, it wasn't technically any kind of combat whatsoever. Now, it was obviously dangerous and volatile at the time, but it was not, he's up in the mountains with his platoon and he got shot. He was part of an evacuation mission, completely different campaign. But what's recently happened here is proven that whether you're on the front line or you're the guy that's manning a desk inside a bunker, essentially everyone's at risk. And so unlike our situation where other parents had communicated with their kids who happened to be at the North Gate or the East Gate, or South Gate, they knew their kids were over in that area, and the amount of relief for them, for those that came home, at least they probably were pretty well aware that it was not their son or daughter. In this case, you're not necessarily a fighter pilot that got shot down. Some of these guys were in roles that wouldn't be considered, combat in any way, shape, or form, and they got hit by incoming inbound missiles and drones. So, anybody that, and this is why it's so important, I think, to respect and honor anyone who signs up on the dotted line to volunteer to be a part of the armed forces, because this is proof that not anyone is technically safe despite their role or their MOS. And my son was an 0311 infantryman with the Marine Corps, and I knew that was a high risk. He's boots on the ground, and there's a high risk there because he could potentially be in a combat situation, unlike maybe an engineer or someone that's staying behind that is behind the desk doing a lot of the very important roles that they do. But some of these that were just recently killed were those roles, the more behind the scenes kind of thing, and they still unfortunately fell victim to the retaliatory strikes. And I pray every day that the U.S. continues to do such an excellent job of pinpointing where the threats are and taking them out before they have an opportunity to harm our personnel. And I guess the bottom line message is, if once you sign up for this as your job and your career, no position technically is really safe, because you're definitely potentially in harm's way at any given time. So these other 50,000 families that have loved ones over there, I mean, it's I know exactly what they're all going through, and I'm sure by now the vast majority have been notified. And I know there was 2 that recently were discovered. Unfortunately, they were unaccounted for, but now they are. Those were late notifications because of the finding them late. But I hope and pray that these are the last knocks on the door that any U.S. family has to get through this operation. And one thing additional, I do want to commend. It's the role of the CACO officer. Those are the casualty assistance officers. These guys and gals who have that as their job, being the ones who actually have to do the notification, has got to be the toughest job in the world. I mean, you're literally going to rip somebody's life in half, and they stand there in utter respect and poise, and they are there to let you hit them, cry and scream and yell at them. These are amazing human beings that have literally one of the toughest jobs I've ever seen. And our casualty assistance officers, in our case, were excellent. They took a lot of crap from me. I was absolutely livid about Biden's decision to do what he did, and they heard an earful for sure. But they are very respectful, and I commend them for the job that they do, and it's got to be the toughest thing in the world.
Mark Schmitz, of course, responding to the death of Jared Schmitz with founding the Freedom 13, thefreedom13.org. I mean, I know that there are sources from the military and from the government, but that's also sources from communities and private sector and groups like yours as well. You just had a very successful fundraiser, building the retreat. But when you get that news, and I've just got a minute or so left, Mark, I'm sorry.
Sure.
But you also look at a lot of other people say, what can I do? We don't want to just rely on military or somebody else to do what they're very good at, like you said, but then more people just want to help and be a part of this as well.
We had so many people from all over the world, but primarily from the U.S. that reached out. We got letters. We got, people generally just want to donate money because that's the knee-jerk reaction, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, my family collected nearly $250,000 from donations from all over the country, and although we appreciated it, we didn't want the money for ourselves, so we actually took all that money and put it into our nonprofit, and that's what we launched it with. But it's not too difficult to track people down and know that your card or your letter that you send to a grieving family eventually will be read. I mean, I've read every single one that we got, and there were thousands. And it does mean something. So if you're not the type that likes to reach out to someone, that's perfectly okay. Just keep them in your prayers. I mean, these families need it, and their worlds are going to be turned upside down for the rest of their lives, and they're going through the worst hell right now on earth. And even it doesn't stop when you bury your loved one either. It just continues. The pain is always there, and just look out for your neighbor, and treat them with respect and dignity, and keep your political views and things aside. Just know they have lost their entire existence.
All right, Mark, thank you so much for sharing with us again. I really appreciate that. And, of course, and thefreedom13.org is how people can be in touch and help you with your mission to help other families who went through exactly what you went through.
Yes, sir. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
You got it. We'll talk to you again soon, Mark. Thanks so much.
You know, it is Wednesday, which means Friday is right around the corner. And, of course, that means we want you to send Jerome your requests for Flashback Friday. So please be sure to line those up. Send them in to Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Ever been close to tragedy or been close to folks who have? Have you ever felt the pain so powerful, so heavy you collapse?
I want to talk to you guys about windows. Window World. In just over 20 years in business, they have improved the look and thermal efficiency of over 80,000 customers in St. Louis. Window World windows are one of the only 2 replacement windows with the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. They're ranked number 1 in number of windows sold in the country by Qualified Remodeler magazine, and they've got a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. Window World uses a double-strength glass that gives it a strength not commonly used in replacement windows. Window World products are not only durable, but they offer security, beauty, and energy efficiency. Window World is now offering 36 months, same as cash financing, with approved credit. Did you know that over half the appointments Window World will set this year are from previous customers or referrals from those customers? This is a testimony to the customer service quality and commitment to creating loyal customers you will get from Window World. The St. Louis location has been owned, operated, and managed by a group of born and raised St. Louis residents for over 23 years. And if you already have Window World windows, remember that Window World can also do siding and doors. They can help you do everything on your exterior with the exception of a roof and a garage door. And one thing that separates this company from the rest is their commitment to customer service. This is shown by their excellent track record with both the BBB and other reporting agencies. So you want to call for a free home estimate today. 1-800-GET-WINDOWS. That's Window World. Check them out now.
Hello, everyone. It's Fez with the Moolah Shrine Circus. I want to remind you to get your tickets now for our big circus in March. We've got new exciting acts like the Swinging Trapeze, the Daring Horseman, the Human Cannonball, and much more. And kids under 12 are free with a paid general admission ticket. So go to moolah.org and get your tickets today. For the Moolah Shrine Circus, March 20th to the 22nd at the St. Charles Family Arena.
It's more than a rebellion. When your teen is slipping into drugs or alcohol, when social media and pornography consume their time and their mind, when depression and even suicidal thoughts cast a shadow over your home, as a parent, you feel powerless. There is hope. At Turnabout Ranch, troubled teens step away from the chaos and into a clarity of nature on a working cattle ranch. Care for horses, learn responsibility, build trust, and rediscover purpose. It isn't theory, it's real work, real therapy, real healing. Families from across the country have found transformation right here, just when they thought hope was gone. If your teen is struggling with addiction, harmful online behaviors, even weight management, call right now and get the help you all need.
800-219-2494. 800-219-2494. 800-219-2494. That's 800-219-2494.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy, Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, if you are on any podcast platform, you can find News Talk STL. That discussion we just had with Mark Schmitz is going to be posted in the next couple hours or so, something like that. I'm going to ask everybody, go grab that, put that on your social media.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we didn't get political in there.
No.
At all. Mark didn't. That was about as human of a view and a feel and an impact that you're ever going to hear. This is what people need to hear and understand. And that's not pro-war. That's not anti-war. This is just the realities of war. So once that's posted, make sure it's great if you subscribe. You don't have to subscribe. Basically 2 clicks and you can copy it and put it on any of your social media or email it or text it to anybody. So I'm asking that you do that so we can help everybody sort of keep the what's crucial and real and what matters the most in front of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we'll talk about updates on the war here as well, just a little bit. I don't usually get into election results in other states very much, but let's talk about Texas, which, by the way, just moments ago, Jasmine Crockett has conceded the race to James Tallarico because she was not happy with losing, as nobody would be happy with losing.
I mean, that's understandable.
But she was trying to make the claim that she was cheated and there was disenfranchisement and there weren't going to be any results till today, when she clearly lost the primary race in Texas.
Well, now, to Jasmine's credit, she's technically right, because at least Decision Desk HQ did not make the call until 2:13 a.m. Eastern. So it was today.
It was technically today, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so the rundown of the primary elections in Texas, and there were some in other states, but I think more eyes around the country are on the one in Texas, both Republican and Democrat, because here's what's interesting, Susie, is that both the Republicans and Democrats, it wasn't just about which candidate do we like better. It was more of people are looking at it as more of a directional thing for both parties.
Yeah.
And Jasmine Crockett being the new, younger, left-wingy type of thing. Nobody knew anything about James. I've never heard of James Tallarico until...
He's a state rep, so unless you're from Texas, you're not going to really...
And honestly, if you don't live in his area, you probably don't know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
So was that... we really got excited about James Tallarico of Democrats, or was that, oh God, no, not Jasmine Crockett, don't do that to us?
I think it was more the latter.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, well, you have to understand, because she's a representative right now, so she's representing a district,
right?
And that's a very blue district, and so that works for her. But you're talking about the entire state of Texas, and even the Democrats in Texas aren't all far lefties. She stepped in it the other day. She was talking about the shooting in Austin, and she was saying, you don't blame the immigrant, you blame the guns. And she's like halfway through her sentence, and then she's like, but I'm a gun toting.
Right.
But she had to correct herself. That doesn't sell as well all over Texas, even to Democrat voters.
Yeah, they ain't California Democrats.
They are not. They are not. So she had an uphill battle as it was. And I do think Tallarico was probably helped by the controversy with the Stephen Colbert show.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I don't think that was what it was intentionally set up to do, but I think that did help him because it actually got his name out there.
I was going to say a ton of name recognition on there as well.
Yeah.
So she concedes so James Tallarico, then state representative, is going to face either John Cornyn or Ken Paxton.
Yes.
So that's going to a runoff. So they've got to have another, round 2 of the primary here in 2-3 months.
Yeah, I think it's in June.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's June.
So that's a very fascinating Republican versus Republican contest, which is kind of being reflective of what we're seeing in some other areas as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There's going to be several runoffs there. This one's going to be the big one. It's already pretty chippy. It's going to get chippier.
Yeah. And Dan Crenshaw losing big.
Yeah.
That was one of the stories on there. It wasn't just that he lost. It was like double-digit loss. I mean, it wasn't even close. And remember, and then also the Tony Gonzalez drama. That's not even so much directional as just as soap opera.
Yeah, I don't think that is anything about ideology. That is really, because ideologically he aligns pretty well with the Republican Party.
Right.
Unfortunately, he's got a lot of issues.
Yeah, he also aligns with women to whom he's not married
scumbags
very much.
Apparently.
One of which ended up being even a death involved.
Our friend Ginny Cruder reminded me Tallarico was kind of leading the charge of the Democrats that left Texas to get away from the redistricting fight or votes and stuff. So he did kind of make a name for himself with that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, okay.
The Colbert helped him.
That was a big thing. And Crockett obviously had a much bigger name recognition.
Definitely.
In this case, though.
It might have worked in her favor.
I was going to say, in this case, that may not have been a good thing for her.
I want to share something with you. Cooking a pizza using coal creates an amazing pizza. Only one place to get it, Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield. Of course, they offer a wide variety of pasta, but you just visit the website NapoliSTL.com, dine in or take out, and get ready for patio season. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield Valley. Try it. You can thank me later.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. As we follow the important issues facing Jefferson County, if you want to stay informed on Jeffco politics, especially in this all-important midterm election year, make sure to tune in this and every Sunday at high noon here on Newstalk STL.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
If it's a big story in Jefferson County, you'll hear about it on Jeffco Patriot Radio. Sundays at noon on Newstalk STL.
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Vic.
You know, when you need a roof, I don't want to call a stranger. I want to call you.
Yeah, thanks. At Connor Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company.
How long you been doing it?
Since 1993.
And year after year, storm after storm, you guys are always there.
Because this is our home, too, Vic. Our kids go to school with your kids. We cheer for the same teams. Go Blues!
So support your neighbors. Call Connor Roofing at 314-375-7475 or CONNER roofing.com.
Thanks, Vic.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. Amit Thomason. In his latest update delivered minutes ago, Defense Secretary Hegseth says an American submarine sunk an Iranian warship that thought it was safe in international waters. Hegseth says a torpedo did the job. The Pentagon chief adds last night's strike was the first such attack on an enemy since World War II. Iranian proxy Hezbollah's use of Lebanon as a base is putting that country squarely in the bullseye.
At around 4 a.m. local time, the Israeli military urged residents across 16 Lebanese villages to start evacuating. Just minutes later, the first report of airstrikes and deaths came in. The Lebanese news agency says at least 4 people were killed in a strike on a residential block in Baalbek. Apartment blocks and a hotel have also been hit in villages near Beirut. The new bombardment follows the deployment of Israeli troops into southern Lebanon on Tuesday.
That's the BBC's Jacob Evans. We'll have to wait to see who will face the Democrat nominee in the U.S. Senate race in Texas.
Democratic state lawmaker James Tallarico got by U.S. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett in Texas' closely watched Democratic Senate primary. Tallarico will face the winner of a May runoff for the GOP Senate nomination between incumbent John Cornyn and challenger and Attorney General Ken Paxton. Cornyn and Paxton came out the top finishers in a 3-way contest with Congressman Wesley Hunt. No GOP candidate hit the 50% vote threshold needed to win outright.
Correspondent Andrew Stewart. Texas GOP Congressman Dan Crenshaw suffered a primary loss to Republican challenger Steve Toth. Watching Wall Street, the Dow futures 160 points higher. NASDAQ futures are up 154 points, and the S&P futures better by 27 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
They say timing is everything in the gold and silver markets, and it's true. Dennis Prager here for AmFed Coin and Bullion. Although you can buy at the right time, if you buy the wrong coins, you may not make a profit. When gold was $400 an ounce, many people were talked into buying high-grade old gold and silver collector's coins. Unfortunately, most of the people who bought these so-called semi-numismatic coins, like the $20 St. Gaudens and Liberty Head gold coins, have not broken even on their investment. Incredible, given that gold has risen approximately 525% since then. So while timing is everything, if you buy the wrong coins, the timing simply doesn't matter. Having a dealer who cares about positioning you in the right types of coins or bullion will mean more to your portfolio than anything else. That's why I deal with Nick Rovich and AmFed Coin and Bullion. Whether you're buying or selling, call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. Or go to American...
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Concha with your first alert forecast. We've issued a first alert weather day as we head off towards from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Could see the possibility for some large hail, some strong winds, and even an isolated tornado risk as the day goes on. Scattered showers and storms will clear as we head off into early Thursday morning. Then into Friday night, could be seeing the potential for more chances of showers and storms through the region. Temperatures by Friday up to 80 degrees. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
Dreaming about a vacation but not sure where to start? Should you book that all-inclusive resort or a cruise? Which destination? What cruise line? And how do you know you're getting the best value? That's where Magic Expeditions comes in. We're your St. Louis local travel experts, helping you choose the vacation that fits. Whether a relaxing, adults-only escape, family-friendly resort, or unforgettable cruise adventure, skip the stress, the guessing, and endless online searching. Visit MagicExpeditions.com. That's MagicExpeditions.com.
Mike Ferguson.
Is there anything in your life that is not Trauma Olympics?
Susie Moore.
Get out of here and stop playing victim.
Get up, St. Louis.
There's no crying in baseball.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
President Trump believes the war against Iran going to be worth a temporary spike in oil and gas prices and maybe some other increases that we're going to end up paying. Here is part of what he had to say. This is courtesy of our friends from Town Hall.
The president acknowledged that oil and gas prices were going to rise as the U.S. remains engaged in the ongoing Middle East conflict, but said prices will come down.
If we have a little high oil prices for a little while, but as soon as this ends, those prices are going to drop, I believe, lower than even before.
AAA reported the average price for a gallon of gasoline jumped 11 cents overnight Tuesday. Greg Clugston, Washington.
It should not surprise us that a war in the Middle East is going to be affecting gas prices. When you affect gas prices, you're affecting basically everything else as well. So in some way, shape, or form, we're all going to feel this.
And we need to act accordingly.
Right. So our friends at National Taxpayer Union keeping an eye on this. I got a note from Thomas Aiello here. It says your price at the pump and how Congress can help. So what is it we can do about it? Tommy, thanks for being back on the program here. So I don't think anybody is shocked. Even those, probably the majority of those who are listening and watching right now, supportive of the actions in Iran. But we know that there is going to be a cost both in what we're spending as a nation and in the way it affects our lives as well. So what is it we should realistically expect and plan for? And then we can get into the parts of, well, what can be done by Congress or somebody else in the meantime?
Well, good morning. Thanks for having me. And I think what the president said yesterday is certainly accurate. Anytime that there's uncertainty happening in the Middle East and around the world, it's going to lead to higher oil and eventually gas prices. And I think that's what the markets have been pricing in up until this weekend. Since the start of the year, we've seen the price for a barrel of oil go up by about 30%, and that's happening because of the uncertainty. And what I think your viewers need to remember is anytime that there's an increase in oil prices by about $10, it increases residential gasoline prices by about 25 cents. So every $10 oil prices increase, it's going to be about a 25-cent increase at the gas pump. So, with that in mind, hopefully what's happening in the Middle East will be wrapped up quickly. That way, oil prices and gas prices can decline sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and there's also a little bit of a lag time on that. So, I mean, even if the hostilities end, it's going to be a while before that trickles into our gas prices. And also keep in mind, this affects other prices on pretty much everything else.
About 20% of the world's oil and gas goes through the Persian Gulf, and Iran is actually in a really good place to block a lot of those exports. And let's remember that what they're blocking, the Strait of Hormuz is what it's called. It's not closed. They say it's closed. But right now, a lot of shippers, they don't think it's safe enough to pass through given what could happen with the country. So with that in mind, 20% of the world's oil supply is offline at the moment. And I think that's why we're going to see higher gas prices in the near term. And, what Congress can do is they're in a really good position to actually alleviate some of the challenges we might see. So what they could do is release oil and gas from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. That's the SPR. That's our oil stockpile for national emergencies. They could release some from there. And then they can also pass, more bills to encourage oil and natural gas production. And I think that's really the unsung hero in this whole conversation is we are so far less reliant on oil from the Middle East, thanks to President Trump's policies, that we are in a much stronger position to weather the short-term storm. That doesn't mean prices aren't going to increase in the short term. And I think we need to recognize that there's going to be a little bit of pain at the pump, hopefully over a very short period. But we're in a far better position than we were, just 20 years ago during the first Iraq War.
Now, one of the things that obviously brought a lot of criticism was the depletion of the strategic reserve, in years past. Right here, at what point is it appropriate to tap into that? Because you don't want to tap into it prematurely, because it is truly for when there's a massive emergency. Are we anywhere near that point? I mean, just trying to level off 25, 50 cents, even $1 or $2, that doesn't seem like that's something we should tap into, something that critical.
No, and I think it would be certainly premature to actually, tap into that. And I think that was one of the mistakes under the previous administration is they cut the SPR in half over a very short period of time when gas prices were, approaching $5, $6 a gallon. Perhaps that was a much better use of the SPR than right now, where gas prices are only up about 20 cents. That's manageable in the short term. But to your point, we need to see how long this conflict rages on. Hopefully it's shorter rather than longer. And then, when it comes to gas prices, you hit it right on the head. Anytime gas and diesel prices increase, that's usually a lagging indicator for other goods, right? So much of our economy is based on trucking. That's how we get these goods from ports to stores, your Amazon deliveries. All of that takes into account those fuel prices. Businesses won't make those changes to pricing over a very short period of time. So if this conflict wages on for a longer period, it's very possible we could see higher grocery prices or, higher shipping costs. But in the short term, in the next, 1 to 2 to 3 months, I don't think much is going to change aside from those costs at the pump.
Okay, let's talk about some of the policy, the energy generation, the drilling and all the things you mentioned. It takes years for some of these things to go online. Where are we with the changes in the Trump administration when they said, no, we're going back to producing our own energy? Because saying that we're going to reopen that was the right move. I think everybody should agree with that. But it takes such a long time to bring that up. And, of course, just the fact that we were producing it again, I think drove down some costs just because of the, what the market knew what was coming. But where are we right now? And if Congress approved every application, or not the Congress, but if the federal agencies approved every single application right now, how long are we before we have that full flow of energy from the U.S.?
And that's the huge problem in this whole conversation is that it takes so long for people that want to, explore lands for potential drilling, to get the rigs up, to transport the oil and gas through pipelines, and then get it to refining. It could take years for that process to happen. So the things that we're talking about now, it won't be realized for another 3 to 4 plus years. That's why it's so important for Congress to pass a bipartisan, comprehensive permitting reform legislation. That way we can actually reduce that timeline. Instead of 4 years, maybe we can drop it down to 2. So the steps and the actions that we take today, they're not going to impact us today, but they're going to put us in a much better position in the future to deal with these future conflicts if they arise.
Yeah,
we've done this in the past, right? Right now, the United States is the largest producer of oil. We're the largest exporter of natural gas. All of those things happened because of the decisions we made 5, 10 years ago. It's way too long to think 5, 10 years from now, but we need to take steps to make sure that we can actually reduce that time to get oil and gas online as soon as possible.
Okay, at the risk of getting a little too wonky or technical here, what would be one or two of the key reforms that would reduce that timeline? And I think a lot of people need to understand it's not even just about when the natural gas or the oil is actually flowing. It's also signaling to the market this is a certainty that is on the way too, and that has a value as well.
That's right. I think the biggest thing that Congress can do is crack down on something called lawfare. Right now, when applications are put in and the U.S. government approves these applications, which they actually have sped up that process, radical environmentalists, they just sue to die. What that means is they file these lawsuits in court challenging all of the applications. It gums up the process, and that's the main driver of these delays. is they have to go to court, they have to litigate, they have to file appeals. Even for some of the most common sense projects, they sue over. And it's a real problem. And if you talk to anybody in the oil and gas industry, they'll tell you that lawfare is probably the biggest issue that they face. Of course, there's other pieces of red tape that the U.S. government can improve, but by far and large, it's these lawfare activities by radical environmentalists. And they hate oil and gas, and that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, so really we're talking about tort reform as much as anything, although this isn't necessarily, it's not a criminal thing, it's a civil thing, but it's really a matter of, how do you strike that right balance? Because people have a right to sue, but we've got a lot of abuse of the judicial system right now.
That's right. They're certainly abusing the process, and not for the best. Of course, everyone deserves their day in court, and everyone should have a say. But let's also remember, they can also do that during the public comment period for all of these projects. Every project goes through a public comment period. People can voice their opposition or their support for it, but then they just come up with the process with lawfare. One other thing I would say that I'm keeping an eye on is there's an effort by Democrats to stop all natural gas exports from the United States. It's a really bad idea. It would make us poorer. Right now, there are billions of dollars in economic activity and tax revenues that flow to state and local governments because of LNG exports. It's really making the world safer. It's making the United States more prosperous. It would be a big mistake if Democrats get their way and want to ban all LNG exports from the United States.
All right. Of course, this and many other aspects of not just the war, but what's happening in D.C., around a lot of states as well. You guys are covering that at the website. Let's go ahead and put that out there. I think we've already tagged you on our social media, Tommy, so people want to be in touch. What's the best way to do it?
You can go to our website, ntu.org, or follow us on social media.
All right. Tommy Aiello from National Taxpayer Union. Thanks so much, man. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you. Take care.
All right. We mentioned this a little bit earlier. There are just a few seats left at Thursday's Church and Life Luncheon. Okay, so this is an event. It's a free event provided by our friends at Reach Reproductive Health, and this is designed to connect ministries in St. Louis with others in the pro-life movement. Again, this is free. This is networking. You are going to get updates on what's happening with Reach. Attorney General Catherine Hanaway is going to be there. I'm going to be there. Get more information and reserve your spot at outreachforlife.org. As a matter of fact, go to outreachforlife.org and you can find the Church and Life Luncheon page right there. Send that to your clergy. Your church needs to be represented there, and it is free. Lunch is free, but you got to RSVP. The luncheon is going to happen at the Commons on Clayton Road in Chesterfield. Outreachforlife.org.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Democrat policies don't work, and they destroy every community that they are in charge of.
On News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Hi, this is Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the region's largest RE/MAX real estate brokerage. It is cold outside, but the real estate market is hot. This is a great time to buy or sell a home. Interest rates are also declining, which gives you more buying power. Someday is not a day on the calendar, but today is. Call me at 314-852-8933 for a free custom home buying plan. 314-852-8933.
The Hammond Institute at Lindenwood University and News Talk STL invite you to an exclusive discussion on Missouri's tax future. Manish Bhatt, Vice President of State Tax Policy for the Tax Foundation, will explore our state's tax competitiveness and the latest efforts to eliminate individual income tax and property tax. Wednesday, March 25th at Lindenwood University, part of the H.F. Langenberg Speaker Series. The event is free, but you must RSVP at hammondinstitute.org. That's hammondinstitute.org.
News Talk STL.
First thing in the morning and pretty much all day.
Live and local. 1019 and 94.1. News Talk STL.
Larry Connors here. I begin my morning every day with the Mike Ferguson Morning Show while I'm doing my 10-mile run. Catch my program at 6. Now, back to Mike.
Okay, so are we in another forever war? Well, the administration says no, but they are starting to back off of some of the earlier predictions just a little bit.
It's not a forever war. It's a as long as it takes for the foreseeable future war.
Okay, so we got a couple updates for you here, and then 8:35, let's dig into the changes and the updates that have been announced literally just minutes ago here as well. It is 8:19. Drama continues even after the first round of the primary election in Texas. Results are going to impact the entire country, and the races aren't over yet. Redbirds back on the field. Blues back on the ice tonight. It is 8:19, almost 8:20. Let's go ahead and do one more news dump.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
Okay, we are getting constant briefings from top administration officials, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Secretary Pete Hegseth, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, among others. They've all testified before Congress about the war in Iran. There was another statement made by Secretary Hegseth just moments ago. We'll bring you part of that in a few minutes here. Of course, Democrats and a few Republicans, but mostly Democrats, still arguing that the launching of the strikes is illegal. They're also saying the conflict could become another forever war. Senator Eric Schmitz was on Fox's The Ingram Angle last night, and he says, no, that's not something that's going to happen.
So they're taking out those, ballistic missiles that would protect that program. But President Trump has been, clear that and has learned, I think, the lessons from history here that we're not interested in a forever war in the Middle East.
So far, 6 Americans have died. Another 18 have been wounded. And along those lines, because we are going to be reporting on that throughout the days and the weeks ahead, and there will be numbers, but go back and listen to our conversation if you missed it earlier, or you need to hear it again with Mark Schmitz from earlier in today, that I wanted to make sure that we have something available that reiterates how important this is, that we're talking about people. We're not talking about numbers.
Yes. Yeah. And it's that much more impactful when it comes from somebody that had to get that call and is devoted their life's work now to actually helping those that are also going to be receiving the call as well.
Right. Exactly. All right. And President Trump lashing out at Spain for not actively supporting U.S. military attacks on Iran.
During an Oval Office meeting with Germany's chancellor, the president complained about Spain's lack of support for the war against Iran, at one point saying that U.S. military jets could just fly in and use Spain's air bases without permission.
We're going to cut off all trade with Spain. We don't want anything to do with Spain.
It's unclear how that could happen, given that Spain is under the umbrella of the European Union, which negotiates trade deals on behalf of all 27 member countries. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Yeah. Now, Susie disagrees with me, but I think that was just a dumb statement by the president. And, don't get me wrong, it looks like he's executing in full command of what's happening in the war, but I got mad at you because you didn't do enough, and therefore we're going to cut off all of our trade. That's just butthurt dumb. And Susie disagrees. There's people disagree, but that's a thin-skinned.
Okay, but at the same time, though, we have not done the things to them that we've done to Canada and the UK and Denmark. So it's kind of like, why aren't you being ride or die with us real quick?
Yeah, but is Spain a major player? They're just not. But the idea that, okay, I'm going to show you, I'm going to punish all my businesses, they're not going to be able to sell to you, because you made me mad. That's just...
I don't know. I think we need to hit them with the 70% tariff until they stop using the list with how they speak Spanish. That's all I got to say about that.
All right. St. Louis prosecutors charging a man with trying to sexually abuse children at a Kirkwood Walmart. They think that he might have also done the same thing at a nearby Target. 33-year-old Esmin Pasic faces 2 counts, and he's being held on $250,000 cash-only bond. Police say that he's on camera approaching children in the Walmart while touching himself, and they say that he asked at least one child to touch him. Now, normally I don't do this gross crime reporting, but there's a reason that I'm putting this on the radio right now. At least one of the alleged victims is 7 years old. Police think that 3 other children were approached between the 2 stores, and they are asking families, if that was your child, they're asking you to contact the police or the prosecutor's office because they want to put this guy away for a long time, but they need to hear from the other victims as well. And so they know it happened, or they tell us they know it happened, and so they really need to get that information so they can prosecute.
I mean, if you want somebody to touch them, I'll touch them. It's not going to be a gentle touch. It's not going to be the kind of touch he was probably hoping for, but I will be happy to oblige by him.
With the knuckles right there on the right there. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be justice, but they're doing the next best thing, which is prosecuting him, and assuming that he was proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, then you throw him in jail. And guys who abuse children, I hear they do really well in prison.
He'll get a lot of touches then.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer was on Fox's Jesse Waters Primetime, kind of reviewing a lot of that video and that deposition of the Clintons that happened a few days back regarding their ties to Jeffrey Epstein.
She said under oath multiple times she never met Jeffrey Epstein. Even when we showed the picture of her with Jeffrey Epstein, she said she didn't remember meeting with Jeffrey Epstein. President Clinton admitted that Jeffrey Epstein was at the White House 17 times. President Clinton admitted that he flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane at least 27 times.
Well, okay. I mean, you got him. What are we going to do with it?
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
I love that the Republicans are like, we're going to get to the bottom of this, and I've lost confidence that they're looking for anything other than a political advantage, for the midterms at this point.
Yeah. Now, on the one hand, I mean, I'm not familiar with the photo that they were talking about, but I can imagine Bill being basically cheating on Hillary with Epstein this entire time. I can imagine her not having as much recollection of Epstein, but at the same time, maybe this is the first step towards going through the foundation and seeing where these payments were coming from.
Maybe if they do something with it, then okay. There's,
probably. I'm not going to hold my breath.
I'm not either. Okay, some of the Texas primary elections are moving into round 2. In the Republican race for U.S. Senate, Senator John Cornyn is being pushed to a runoff against Attorney General Ken Paxton, and the winner of that race will face State Representative James Tallarico, who beat Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett in the Democratic primary for U.S. Senate, and Tallarico got like 53% of the vote. It really wasn't that close of an election. Congressman Dan Crenshaw, once a rising star in the conservative movement, he lost his primary by a double-digit margin. He got thumped.
I did not see that coming.
Thumped, yeah. In Texas, a runoff happens between the top 2 candidates if no one gets a majority of all of the votes cast. Okay, here's an interesting story out of Colorado. Some Democrats want to legalize, there's a difference between decriminalize, legalize prostitution. Here's the story.
The bill would remove all criminal penalties for the practice and void all local laws against it. Maine has decriminalized prostitution, but so far no state has made it fully legal everywhere within its borders. The 4 Democratic sponsors of the legislation, 3 of whom are women, claim that the measure would improve the health and safety of prostitutes. At this point, the bill's fate in the Colorado legislature is uncertain. Michael Harrington reporting.
I mean, I think this is an interesting development. When you look at things that we typically think of as vices, alcohol, drugs, this kind of thing, prostitution, gambling, we've got a massive trend in this country to at least decriminalize, if not legalize. Among the thoughts, bring it above board. It can at least be regulated, and you can keep the black market destruction out of it. Does that work in something like this? I mean, is there anything healthy about this particular industry? Absolutely, positively not. But is it better to bring it above board than to keep it underground? I don't know the answer.
I mean, yeah, I can see pros and cons going both ways of it both being exploited, now legally exploited versus...
But would they be exploited if it's legal and there's regulations and it's just another business?
Well, I mean, there are people that might be pressured into doing these services that might otherwise not. So above board, it seems like they're consenting, but ulterior motives behind the scenes. And then it becomes harder to prosecute the people that are pressuring them because technically they signed up for the job. I can imagine, with STDs and stuff like that, maybe it stops some of those spreads. But overall, I mean, I just hope that they're actually consulting people that would work in that industry or have worked in that industry to come up with these guidelines.
I just think the bigger picture that there are lawmakers who are willing to put their name on a bill to address that, I think shows you that there's been a big shift in how we think about some of these vices. And saying that we need to change the legal status does not mean that you think it's a good thing or you're promoting it. But there are some people who say, should we at least? I mean, it's like what we did with marijuana over the past 5-6 years.
Well, and then also there's a whole thing that, I mean, amateur-produced adult films are legal, and that's,
Right.
and so it's how much different is it if you just remove the camera from the situation?
Yeah, I don't know. All right, a couple sports things. And by the way, it is still legal for politicians to completely prostitute themselves and their principles, just so you know. All right, the Cardinals play Nicaragua this afternoon as the baseball world gears up for the World Baseball Classic. Matthew Liberatore will be on the mound to start this one in Jupiter. He'll probably go 2 innings, 3 innings at most. First pitch is at 12:05. Team USA, we told you about this yesterday, played the San Francisco Giants.
Mm-hmm.
So the best American players all on one team against a very good Major League Baseball team, and Team USA beat the Giants 15-1.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it looked like they were taking batting practice late in that game.
I mean, at what point do you not just like have a mercy rule?
Well,
and say,
see,
look,
that's the thing. We have that in old man baseball. This game would not have been allowed to go all 9 innings in my league because it was such a thumping on there. All right, the Blues are on the road tonight playing the Kraken in Seattle. This one is going to be on ESPN+. Puck drops at 9 o'clock our time. Blues still in last place in the Central Division with a 22-29-9 record so far, but they have won 2 of their last 3 games.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
He picked the wrong schoolyard to come into, I have to tell you this.
On News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We've issued a first alert weather day as we head off towards from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Could see the possibility for some large hail, some strong winds, and even an isolated tornado risk as the day goes on. Scattered showers and storms will clear as we head off into early Thursday morning. Then into Friday night, could be seeing the potential for more chances of showers and storms through the region. Temperatures by Friday up to 80 degrees. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
Fox News commentary with Johnny Joey Jones. Next.
Most investments today feel like second jobs. Real estate, you're a landlord. Stocks, you're a day trader. Crypto, you're a full-time researcher. You've got a life to live. Your investment should help you live it. That's why more Americans are choosing gold. Noble Gold has helped thousands protect their future with real physical gold. Visit NobleGoldInvestments.com to get your free wealth protection kit. That's NobleGoldInvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Here's Johnny Joey Jones.
I truly believe this is all a part of President Trump's chess game with China. I think there is an immediate threat with Iran, but I mean, they've said it to our faces and we haven't listened. This is the best time. The fight might have been in 5 years, but what a world could we live in where we don't wait those 5 years until it really hurts us? I applaud them for it because they're going to take a lot of arrows on the politics and on the even diplomacy. I mean, you saw how the UK reacted. It's almost similar to how we have said, listen, it's going to hurt a little bit, but we're bringing manufacturing back. We're going to use these tariffs. You're not going to be happy about it for a year or two, but it's going to set us up for success. I believe this is a part of that same ideology when it comes to leading this country for the next 100 years. What do we always complain about? We get 4-year plans, not 100-year plans. This is a 100-year plan. And the smartest thing other politicians could do is buy in on it because it will absolutely lead to our prosperity and longevity.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
You can feel the Clydesdales circling the field. Hear the stands come alive. Smell the hot dogs, the popcorn, and cold beer in the air. See the crowd rise as the first pitch hits the glove. And just like that, a new season begins. The countdown is on until opening day, and tickets start at just $49. Don't miss St. Louis's favorite holiday. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/opening day.
This season, step up to the ultimate game day experience with Cardinals all-inclusive tickets. Enjoy a full buffet, complimentary bar, and unbeatable views inside Busch Stadium. It's great food with great company for every pitch, hit, and home run. Choose your experience in the Budweiser 703 Club, UMB Champions Club, Professional Red Jacket Club, and more. See the game like a VIP with all-inclusive tickets. On sale now at cardinals.com/tickets.
Hey guys, don't miss Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. where we talk about so many areas, including AI, law, and health. We have some fantastic guests on my show just about every Sunday. Don't forget, Sunday evenings at 8 p.m., Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser.
Stand and Fight with Nick Schroer.
Hey, it's Nick Schroer. To preserve this nation, to preserve the experiment in liberty that our founders envisioned, we must take a stand and fight.
Stand and Fight with Nick Schroer. Sunday nights at 6.
Only on News Talk STL.
Craving seafood but worried it'll be too spicy or break the bank? La Juicy Seafood in O'Fallon has you covered. They're not your typical seafood joint. Choose from 5 spice levels, including not spicy, so everyone can enjoy our famous Cajun boils. Bring the family, doodle on the tables, enjoy the full bar with legendary margaritas, and feel right at home. La Juicy Seafood, 373 Winding Woods Drive, O'Fallon. Call 696-924-9171.
News, analysis, opinion.
Funding for ICE and the Department of Homeland Security should not move forward.
What they're doing is putting politics ahead of the safety and security of this nation.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
101 straight up says politicians prostitute themselves and they have a taxpayer-funded slush fund to pay for their sexual dalliances. That's actually true. There is actually a fund to pay for settlements for literally for like sexual stuff of politicians. That's absolutely correct. I mean, it's funny, but it's not. I mean, it's that pathetic. Let's put it that way. It's not funny in a ha-ha sort of way, you know.
Well, I mean, every day I'm starting to realize maybe my dream job is being a politician. It sounds like you really don't have to do a whole lot, and you get all kinds of payouts for everything. So
in a variety of ways, apparently, yeah. So, but that Colorado thing just is fascinating. I want to do some updates on what's happening in the war here. And obviously, you know, when I was in the Libertarian Party, and I wasted a long time in that party, you know, and there are some things that they actually do bring up interesting questions on. There are some things libertarians are just flat wrong on in a big, bad way. But when they talked about the vice stuff, I mean, the libertarians were talking about marijuana legalization 30 years ago, 40 years ago. And I don't think the libertarians had anything to do with where we are right now with decriminalization, if not full-on legalization, like, you know, basically what Missouri has. And Illinois has. But I think we are rethinking vices because at one point that's wrong and that's immoral, therefore outlaw it, when a lot of these laws were passed. And when you look back into the war on drugs, for instance, hard drugs were legal for the first years, century of our country.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, well, yeah, Coca-Cola, but I mean, opium.
Yeah.
I mean, all of that, there were
morphine.
There were opium dens, you know, that were allowed to be there, and nobody really cared. Basically, in New England, there were a lot of those, you know, Boston, New York, places like that, and nobody cared because they were run by generally a lot of Chinese immigrants, and nobody cared until American white women started going there, and then all of a sudden we had that. Well, marijuana, you know, was associated with jazz culture, which back at the time that meant black. And so at one point that was a target. There really isn't much of the war on drugs that came from a good, sincere place from a policy perspective. Even if later on somebody says, look at the harms that this does, it's a good thing that we're fighting it. Okay, that's a sincere position. But the genesis of all of these generally weren't that good. The first gun control laws in this country, they were basically disarm black people, disarm freed slaves, disarm people in Jim Crow South laws. That's where a lot of those laws came from. And so when we think of vices, you know, we tried prohibition with alcohol. That didn't work. We legalized it. You know, doesn't mean that alcohol doesn't hurt people today, but I think what we've got now is much, much better. Nobody's dying from bathtub gin, and if you are, it's your own dang fault. That's your problem. Because you can go get gin. I don't want anyone to drink. I'm not a gin guy. I'm not a gin guy at all. No. But you want to do that, you can go find that any liquor store you want, and you know what's in it. Marijuana legalization, St. Louis smells funny. but the world did not fall apart
Mm-hmm.
because we have that. So when you look at other vices like sex work, can there be a similar result to say, well, we still don't like it, it's still bad for you, but at least we reduce trafficking, or we put in health safeguards or something? I think it's possible. I don't know if that's going to be what happens, but I think it is worth a conversation.
Yeah, there are quite a few hedonists out there, and having them put in jail for simply offering the service that
Right.
voluntarily of their own volition with a consenting adult, I think is not necessarily any sort of justice to anybody in that situation. But there are situations as well that the opposite's true. Somebody that is either tricked into something or they're pressured to something, coerced into something, and that needs to definitely be addressed as well.
Yeah, I mean, basically, what the reason I've still got that sort of small L libertarian streak in me is I want to be left alone, and I want other people to be left alone. As long as you're consenting adult, you're not hurting anybody else. But that's the question: is to hurting somebody else? Okay, 8:39 right now. We've had some updates on what the Trump administration is saying about the war in Iran. Literally, just like half hour ago or something like that. Secretary Pete Hegseth is saying now, okay, President said 4 or 5 weeks, may not be like that. What is it that he actually announced just a little bit ago this morning here?
We need to remember two things. First, we are only 4 days into this. Metrics are shifting, dust is settling, and more forces are arriving. It's very early. And as President Trump has said, we will take all the time we need to make sure that we succeed. Second, we are only 4 days into this, and the results have been incredible. Historic, really. Only the United States of America could lead this, only us. But when you add the Israeli Defense Forces, a devastatingly capable force, the combination is sheer destruction for our radical Islamist Iranian adversaries. They are toast, and they know it. Or at least, soon enough, they will know it. And we have only just begun to hunt, dismantle, demoralize, destroy, and defeat their capabilities, just 4 days in. Starting last night and to be completed in a few days, in under a week, the two most powerful air forces in the world will have complete control of Iranian skies, uncontested airspace. I hope all the folks watching understand what uncontested airspace and complete control means. It means we will fly all day, all night, day and night, finding, fixing, and finishing the missiles and defense industrial base of the Iranian military, finding and fixing their leaders and their military leaders, flying over Tehran, flying over Iran, flying over their capital, flying over the IRGC, Iranian leaders looking up and seeing only U.S. and Israeli air power every minute of every day until we decide it's over. And Iran will be able to do nothing about it. B-2s, B-52s, B-1s, Predator drones, fighters, controlling the skies, picking targets. Death and destruction from the sky all day long. We're playing for keeps. Our warfighters have maximum authorities granted personally by the president and yours truly. Our rules of engagement are bold, precise, and designed to unleash American power, not shackle it. This was never meant to be a fair fight, and it is not a fair fight. We are punching them while they're down, which is exactly how it should be.
Okay, Secretary Pete Hegseth right there giving that update just a little bit ago this morning here. And then at some point he said, okay, well, this could be, what did he say? Could be 7 to 8 weeks?
8 weeks.
8 weeks on it. And I completely understand that the administration does not want to box itself into a timeline. So people go, aha, you said this, and it's this plus one. But at the same time, I think there is apprehension about a so-called forever war.
Yes.
I think there really is. Even I think a lot of people who are on board saying this needed to happen, for those who say, yeah, but we don't need to be there for 10 years. We don't need another thing where we've got to show for. So as the timeline now has been extended just a little bit. And again, if they come back in and say, no, we were able to do it in 5, then they look all that much better on this. What I'm not hearing is that they are planning for the post-regime Iran, which is probably a smart move to not be talking in those terms, because Iran is not done fighting. Now, they can't compete with the U.S. and Israel, but they're not done fighting. They are very happy to get blown to smithereens in their Islamic cause.
Yeah, there was a televised statement issued by the current Iranian regime, basically saying that we are prepared to basically devastate everybody in our immediate region because we're mad that this happened.
Right.
Going back to the idea of liberating the Iranians, President Trump, I found a clip from him a while ago that I don't have with me right now, but basically he said that everybody that they had considered to be the replacement to stabilize, they were all accidentally killed in the strikes. So they had a group of contenders, of people that they trusted to be pro-U.S. interest, anti-Ayatollah, that would be people that they trusted to take over and to kind of help stabilize Iran, and then turns out that they all got blown up. So it does not, from what I'm seeing, and again, Iran's a massive landmass.
Yeah. People don't understand how big of a landmass this is.
There is still, and I'm talking estimates of over hundreds of thousands of people in different parts of Iran that are actually saying we will not surrender, death to America again. They're not seemingly as enthused or excited about what's going on. And of course, the people that currently have control over the military, whether parts of society we don't really know, I guess, but whoever is in control of the military is still loyal enough that they're retaliating to everybody that they consider complicit with Operation Epic Fury. So
I mean, missiles are going to be flying all over the region, and they're going to reach as far. And the more certain the defeat becomes, my guess is, the more aggressive the Iranian regime is going to be. That in their mind, in a kind of a sick way, go out in a blaze of glory and take as many people down as possible, because they're not thinking of this in terms of military strategy. Once again, and we mentioned this history, they're thinking this in terms of Islamic revolution and jihad against the infidels around the world, chief of which are Israel and the United States to them.
Yeah, and so what I'm seeing in terms of the updates as well, so I'm on it's called Market Watch. It keeps track of the different stocks and everything going on in the markets. It does look like we're actually seeing a bit of an uptick. We were down quite a bit for the past couple days, but we're steadily seeing a very progressive upward tick, which is good. It looks like we did, U.S. submarine did sink a Iranian warship that was in international waters near the Indian Ocean.
And the Iranians have sunk 4 oil tankers.
Yes, and it looks like despite China's warning and everybody else trying to get the Strait of Hormuz to continue to be open, traffic is down currently by about 90%.
Is it 99? It was 80 early this morning.
It's
Is
90
it 90 now?
as of 11 minutes ago.
That would not surprise me.
The Qatar Energy, which is one of the largest exporters globally for liquefied natural gas, has shut down all operations. They issued a statement. I can't remember. Let me see if I can, there's so many updates being posted. It's hard to keep track of all of them. But basically, they're not going to be operational for a while, so that might affect natural gas and energy as well.
Yeah, now we produce so much natural gas that we should be able to fill that void here. What we're talking about, and was what we talked to Tommy Aiello about a little bit ago from National Taxpayer Union, the sting on that isn't that we're going to be short of natural gas. We got plenty of LNG here. We got plenty of natural gas in the United States. We're kind of the Saudi Arabia of natural gas here in North America and the United States. But it's a lot of places sell this to other places, so it's revenue and taxes and things like that that's going to sting.
Now, yesterday, Mike Huckabee, Israel ambassador, U.S. ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, issued a statement on X saying that if you were trying to leave Israel, if you're an American citizen trying to leave Israel, that you're on your own, that it's up to you to find a way to come out, that they can't do anything. It does appear that the military is currently working on ways of helping Americans get out of the Middle East. There's a tip line and everything for instructions for safe passage. So
yeah, the Americans should not be anywhere in the Middle East right now. If you are not an active part of the military, you should get out of there.
Yes, and it looks like there are other countries that are also being drawn into this in that region as well. I can't pronounce some of them, but it does look like it's still an expanding conflict.
This is ending up being a full-on regional conflict, and at some point, Iran may end up with some Islamic nation allies to help them. They've certainly got the proxy front terrorist groups that will strike at some point. That won't be a state strike. But remember, a lot of these groups, they're not just supported by Iran, they're supported by some of our partners in this as well.
Oh, yeah. Saudi Arabia and Iraq both have
Qatar and
militant groups that are joining Iran's cause. So.
Yeah. So we've got two-faced people on our side right now. We just happen to be controlling them for the moment.
Yeah. And as we keep an eye on this, of course, it is Bump Day, which means I'm calling for all of you to send me your 80s bump music requests for Flashback Friday. Go ahead and send them to Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com.
I have never been so happy to hear about some road construction coming to an end because my friends at Mario's, they were basically cut off from the whole world. And that means I haven't had my Mario's Donuts in a while. I'm just saying, it's for you, but it's really for me. Mike Ferguson here for Mario's Donut Restaurant. Listen, mariosdonutrestaurant.com. They're on Mugi Road. There is a difference. You can go to the big chain place if you want and get their dry, sweet. They're okay. Or you can get Mario's fresh donuts. But here's the thing. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, also catering. Sometimes you need a cup of coffee. Go hang out there. Mario's on Mugi Road. Get their tiramisu for dessert. Get their sandwiches. Get their wraps. You can get even healthy stuff at a donut restaurant. Mario's Donut Restaurant. mariosdonutrestaurant.com. I am telling you, there is a difference. You can do what Tony Colombo does and go to like a convenience store every day, and then you can get something crusty and 3, 4, 5 days old. Or you can do what I do, and you can go to Mario's Restaurant and get something fresh made that day right there that is absolutely delicious, and get that fresh cup of coffee right there from a locally owned business. So check them out, Mario's Donut Restaurant. All that road construction right there in front of it's finally to the point where you can get in and out. So go visit them, get your fix, get your breakfast wrap, definitely get your donut, get your cup of coffee, and hang out and say hi to them and say, Mike's missed you. Let them know that. mariosdonutrestaurant.com.
Ready for instant curb appeal that comes with a 25-year transferable warranty? Call Rhino Shield today. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, aluminum, steel, cedar, and more. Over the past 20 years, we've done thousands of homes, businesses, churches, schools, condos, parking garages, large metal buildings, and strip malls, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks. We do flat and sloped metal roofs to extend their lives too. Proud to be veteran-owned and manufactured in the good old USA, so we're tariff-free. We're exceeding expectations every day. Evaluations are free. A+ rated with the BBB and a lot of 5-star Google reviews. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
No paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Are you a proud American? Then join us for the Lincoln Trump Dinner, March 20th at Old Hickory Golf Club in St. Peters, hosted by the St. Charles County Republican Central Committee. The evening features a VIP reception, dinner and program with live music by the Comparato Trio. Register online at stcharlesgop.com. Don't miss this celebration of America's 250th year, the Lincoln Trump Dinner. See you March 20th.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Perfect timing to have somebody with the military mind of Paul Kurtman on. That'll be happening after we play The Bee or Not the Bee. That's happening Wednesday at 9:25.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Let's get back to all this madcap mayhem with Mike Ferguson in the morning. But don't forget, stick around for Jones and Arps every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m.
Newsmax is reporting the United States has hit over 2,000 targets and sunk 17 Iranian ships.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and it's not over. I guess the hits are just raining down on Iran as well. So, we come on the air at 5:30 in the morning, and by the time we get to 9 a.m., many things have been updated. Things look very different. Okay, let's talk about the kind of the crossroads I think both the Republicans and the Democrats are at. Now, this tends to happen more with the Republicans, the sort of ideological, back and forth, establishment versus populist versus conservative versus whatever. And you're seeing that in Texas to some degree. And you're also seeing that with the Texas Democrats as well. That's why I found their primary election so interesting. John Cornyn may be among the most establishment of the Republican establishment that you've got. And he did not outright win his primary in his re-election campaign.
Oh.
Yeah. So Ken Paxton, Attorney General, pushing him to a runoff. And so 11, 12 weeks from now, they're going to do it again. It's going to be round 2 of the primary election. And the winner, that's going to take on some state representative named James Tallarico, who defeated Jasmine Crockett. But let's start with the Republican side. You may say, well, is this just MAGA versus non-MAGA? No, not really, because Donald Trump's got pretty good relationships with both of those candidates on there. Now, I think Ken Paxton is probably looked at as less of the establishment and more of kind of the conservative thing, but he's definitely got some flaws. So you got 2 very imperfect candidates. The question is, who do you want to be in the next term? Because I would think that whichever Republican wins that race has got to be by a long shot, the hands-on favorite to win in the general election in November. Democrats just had to say, are we going to be the party of the fringe left wing or not? And so I don't think that there was a big uprising for James Tallarico. I'm sure he's got a fan base, here, as it's been pointed out. But my guess is a lot of that vote was, oh, God, please not Jasmine Crockett. Don't embarrass us in front of the whole country. You're going to set us back years and years and years if that's what happened. I think that might have been a lot of it. And Tallarico did a good job getting his name out there when nobody had ever heard of him. I mean, Jasmine Crockett, because of the national coverage, she had probably 100 times the name recognition that James Tallarico had. And then that doesn't mean it's always good. Mm-hmm. And Tallarico capitalized and just let people know, hey, I'm here. He didn't even really have to, I think, hit her and differentiate himself. Just go, hey, I'm here. And guess what? I'm not her.
Sometimes the simplest strategies are the most effective.
That. When your opponent is making a mess of themselves, don't get in the way.
Yeah. Never
read some Sun Tzu.
Yes, never interrupt your opponent when they're in the middle of making a mistake.
Yeah.
Now the interesting thing too, as well, is there is quite a bit on the right side of things. There are a lot of people that are not happy with some of President Trump's decisions,
sure.
And so there is a couple conflicting calls. I don't think that any of the President Trump loyalists are going to stay home for the elections. I think they're going to reelect the people that they view as good for the MAGA movement. But it's on the other side of things where some people are saying that I'm just not going to show up, which
that's what Republicans have to worry about.
Yes. So there's that element of it, or it's the who does not have a Trump endorsement / who's not running on a MAGA ticket, we'll vote for them as long as they're right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know as we head into the final midterm of the Trump term. I don't know that the Trump MAGA endorsement is going to carry the weight that it used to. It'll carry some weight depending on where it is. I don't know that it's going to. I mean, during his first term, Republican didn't have that, scepter blessing you. You were sunk. I don't think that's the case now. Matter of fact, one of Trump's endorsements, one of those statewide races, I forget which one, actually lost significantly. So I don't think it's the Midas touch the way that it used to be. But let's not kid ourselves. It still carries a lot of sway with a lot of Republicans.
Yeah. So I guess it really depends on how deeply red your district is, whether or not it's going to be even matter if you're mad at Trump right now and you're mad at the MAGA movement and you're like, I'm going to stay home and they can deal with it without. Well, it may not matter. It may be that your neighbors are all like, well, we like this guy.
Well, I know, but you've also got for instance, the Second Amendment community.
Yes.
Mad at Republicans right now. And they're not going to go campaign for Democrats. They're not going to go campaign to get Republicans, but they can easily say, no, we're not going to spend, X number of dollars mailing to our own membership. And you do this one on your own.
Yes.
And that makes a massive difference because if this particular group, and you think about the different elements of the conservative movement, but, MAGA and conservative aren't really the same thing. MAGA is a very populist movement. And you look at, like, for instance, the pro-life community. There's now a little bit of squawking, from the pro-life community. There's a lot of squawking from the Second Amendment community for a lot of good reasons. And so, it's a delicate balancing act at best. And at some point, just saying, but we're not as bad as them, therefore you owe me your support, that runs out after a while.
And then there's the people that got on board because of the Make America Healthy Again with RFK. Those loyalists, they're very mad about the glyphosate protection executive order, and they're also mad about food coloring dyes not being fully removed as we were promised. So
I'm just a free market guy. I mean, I choose not to eat that stuff anyway, but that's a free market for me.
Yeah, but there are. So I don't think it's going to be as clear cut as let's vote, to keep the loony liberals out of office. I think we could really see maybe some potential shakeups.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of cohesion can be built over the next 5 months.